Service. The Saganiac Planning Marquette Records. Best season ever at Marquette, easy. National championship in 77. But Al McGuire always said it wasn't his best team. Winning percentage stat would agree. 70-71, they were 28-1. 75-76, they were 27-2. Losses of note to Ohio State in the NCAA tournament and to Indiana, the last team to go unbeaten. Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service.
Hey, this is Jen Latta. You're listening to 94.5 ESPN, WKTI, and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Party people!
It's time to get this tailgate started and get you ready for the green and gold game. This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Now broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside Gabe Neitzel, ESPN legend John Anderson, and green and gold legend Bryan Bulaga. Here's Alex Strouf.
Away we go. It is playoff time. Wild card weekend Sunday. The Green Bay Packers, the 7th seed in the NFC, heading to Philadelphia and Lincoln Financial Field to take on the 2-seeded Philadelphia Eagles. Really good season for them. An improvement in the win column for the Packers. No improvement in seed. They go on the road as the final team into the playoffs in the NFC to take on the NFC East champion, just like they did a year ago. Big one. The nerves are here. The excitement is up, and we are ready to roll. It's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin with you. 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, 100.5 ESPN Madison, 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, and the legendary 620 WTMJ. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices. One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. Joined as always by the host of Jen, Gabe, and Chewy weekday mornings, 7 to 9 on ESPN Milwaukee. Gabe Neitzel is here. Gabe, the postseason has arrived.
It has. Unfortunately, we haven't had that good game yet. I don't know if we're going to get a good game out of the first one scheduled for today with the Broncos traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. But I think the NFC part of the bracket is a little deeper and is going to provide a little more football entertainment for the rest of the weekend.
Nobody has traveled across the United States of America more in the last 6 months than the professor at the University of Missouri, from Sports Center fame, Wipeout fame, and, of course, Green Bay Southwest High School fame. The legendary John Anderson is with us, and in his background, none other than a Marquez Valdez Scantling jersey behind him. What the hell's up with that, Johnny?
So I'm in my son's apartment.
Okay.
In Fayetteville, and that is his guy. And so he's like, Dad, I'm going to put this out.
Sorry to hear that.
And all I will tell you is you should just keep an eye open over the course of 3 hours. By the way, is this really 3 hours? Because there's games over here I should be watching.
3.5 to be exact, actually, John.
Three in the hook.
3 in the hook.
3 in the hook, yep.
3 in the hook. So the pregame show will be longer than the actual game.
Right
that's
about
correct,
the same
yes.
area, yeah.
That's correct.
Probably.
That's all right. That's fair. 1 for 1. I'm in for that. What I'm hoping is that it is a 3.5 hour game. And this is not one of these deals that's over by halftime. I don't believe it will be.
I don't either.
I think the Packers are in position to put up a good fight. I don't know that they're in position to win yet, but I don't think this is one of those where they get run out of the gym for sure.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking a lot this week, John. When I think back to the last time the Packers won the Super Bowl, it was 2010, and it was the first year an offensive lineman by the name of Bryan Bulaga was on the team. This is the first year Bryan Bulaga is starting on the Green Bay Game Day pregame show. Could there be a little correlation there? We're welcoming the Super Bowl champion Bryan Bulaga from his domain down in sunny Florida. Bryan, the playoffs are here. I imagine still, even a couple years after your playing career, you get a little bit more psyched, a little bit more jacked up for this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a little nostalgic when playoff time comes around. I always really, really look forward to this time of year because you never know how many opportunities you get at this thing, right? I mean, I think as a player, you just always, at least we always expected of ourselves, right, to get to this point in the season when you have the team that we had, when you had the quarterback that we had. You expected that of yourself to get to this point, right? And I don't want to say you took it for granted, but you just kind of thought we're going to get there, and when we get there, what do we do with it? But you always got really excited for this time of the season because this is when it actually matters, right? And we could talk about the 7 seed, 6 seed, that's all like cool, like and we understand how Green Bay got to that point, and we understand how Philly got to the point that they're the 2 seed and all that, and for what's happened the last few weeks with Green Bay. We could talk about form. We could talk about momentum. I look at this as that's out the window today, right? Like and that's how I truly believe this is a one and done scenario now. Like this is a whole new season. We looked at what happened yesterday. Those games were junk. Like everyone thought the Chargers were going to go in there and absolutely just whitewash Houston. And Houston absolutely just ran the Chargers out of the building. Like nobody thought that was going to happen. And well, they did it, right? And like that's the kind of thing you get in the playoffs. And that's what gives not just, guys like me that have experienced those types of things, but it should give fans hope for what we're going to see today. So like that's where I'm going in today with some hope and some anticipation that Green Bay's going to go in there and fight for it. And that's what I'm excited for today.
Hey, how about things nobody thought was going to happen? An opening drive, 43-yard touchdown strike for Bo Nix to Troy Franklin has the Broncos on top of the Buffalo Bills just 2.5 minutes in, 7-0 out in Buffalo. So there you go, Bryan. The impossible happens in the postseason as the Broncos catch an early lead. Bryan, I want to stick with you for a moment because when we think back, and I'm not going to try to draw comparisons to the Super Bowl team, but the one comparison we can draw is that postseason run began on the road in Philadelphia. Talk to us about the environment that is playing out in Philly, and ultimately you guys won that game. But what do you remember from that one, and what do you remember from the environment?
Yeah, I mean it's a it's a fun environment. Like it really is. I mean the fans in Philly are second to none. We'll just put it that way. And It is not the city of brotherly love for the visiting team. I don't know who gives more middle fingers pulling up in the bus, Chicago or Philly. I don't know which crowd gives more. It could be a toss up. I don't exactly know, but
kind of wish you'd have counted now.
Yeah, like it's close, but I will say this, like the fans in Philly give a great atmosphere for the game. Like it is very very electric in that stadium, and it's raucous, and the fans let you know about it. You can hear them chirping you on the sideline when you go to the bench. It's a fun place to play, and when you're winning there, I feel like they get even more like chirpy to you. Like that's what I felt like when we were winning there in the playoffs. They talked even more to you, and you could tell you were rattling them a little bit. It made it that much more fun, I feel like. But I don't think it's as loud as, say, like Seattle or Minnesota. Like it's nothing like that. I mean, so Green Bay should be able to go in there and do what they need to do, handle all their communication. They should be able to take care of all that. That should not be an issue today. Like they should be able to take care of business on that front. But there's besides it not being as loud as that, there's a lot of other things that go into it. There's pressure, it's playoff football. So, but it's a fun place to play. They should have fun, play loose. I know that's hard to say, play loose. It's the playoffs. I get it. But all the pressure is on the 2 seed. It always is. All the pressure is always on the 1 and 2, no matter what. Doesn't matter who's in the 1 and 2. So go out there as the 7 seed, play loose, play fast, and put all the heat on the 2 seed. And that's the mentality they got to do.
How do you accomplish that? Because I feel like playing loose and fast in these big time matchups that they've had down the stretch, Bryan, has not been what they've done. I think about how like it seemed how anxious and tense LaFleur was before they played the Lions on the Thursday after Thanksgiving, and maybe he adjusted a little bit, but I would still say they were kind of tense in that game against Minnesota in Week 17. So how do you accomplish that of being the loose team, of playing like hey, we got nothing to lose here, we're the 7 seed? How do you accomplish that when that hasn't been what you've done in these situations all season?
Yeah, I guess that's the part that's, easier said than done, right? I mean, I think that comes that's a mentality of the coach a little bit, but it's also a mentality as the player, right? Because I think if you look at from a coach standpoint, they always look at there's something to lose, right? Like the coach speak is always there's something to lose, where the player mentality may be a little bit more, hey man, nobody thinks we're supposed to get this done anyway, so let's just go out there and cut it loose. Where the coaches are a little more calculated with it and their, in their brains. But to me, I think what we've seen from Green Bay early in these games, in the big games, right, Minnesota and Detroit, we've seen, and listen, it's worked in some, in some games, and in some games it hasn't, but like we've been very conservative with running the football. And I get that it's our bread and butter, and I get that Jacobs has been the guy that's been our offense, right? And I get that, and I can appreciate that, and I love it. I am a run the football guy, and I love it. But like, there's something about getting Jordan Love in this passing game going early. And I think that's something that, like, when I'm talking about, like, playing loose, playing fast, and just having nothing to lose, like, I'm talking about cutting the passing game loose early and trying to see if we can exploit that defense early and getting them to open up early so that we can run the football. Because I think Philly, they know we want to run the football. They know that's our strongest asset is Jacobs and doing that, and they're going to do everything they can to stop that. So if we can throw them out of that mentality of stopping the run, we can use that as a major advantage today. But that's, again, easier said than done. But because you don't want to go into this thing and just continue to do it the same as you have in these big time matchups, like against Detroit, and get down, 14 or 17 nothing, or against Minnesota when you're down 28-7. You can't do that in the playoffs. So there's got to be a change or a mindset shift or an approach shift in the first quarter of the game that flips the script a little bit. So we'll see if that gets done early today.
Bryan Bulaga is amped up. I can hear it in his voice. He is fired up this morning as we get you ready for Packers-Eagles. It's a 3:30 kick. We are with you until then, continuing to preview this one. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Bryan Bulaga hanging out with you here across ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ. We need to do a pulse check on none other than John Anderson, which we will do coming up next. How is John feeling ahead of Packers-Eagles? Is he confident? Is he scared? Is he nervous? We all find out together after this. It's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting another Scramble tournament with $750 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellison, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a two-man scramble at Pebble Beach, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through January 31st. Your winter chance to play Pebble Beach awaits. WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Homer here. I'm inviting you to join me starting August the 9th, as we explore the many shades of Ireland with Colette Vacations, a 10-day journey filled with legendary views, historic expeditions, and unforgettable tales. Explore the historic city of Dublin, kiss the famous Blarney Stone, and stand on the spectacular cliffs of Moher. We'll also journey Ireland's breathtaking countryside and follow the stunning coastal route of the Ring of Kerry. We'll experience the daily life of an Irish family with a dairy farm visit, and even enjoy a taste or two at a historic whiskey distillery. Plus, there's a stay overnight in a medieval castle. Join me for all of these experiences and many more. Visit ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com for trip information. Colette handles all the details of the 10-day excursion, the flights, the meals, the hotels, the experience. Don't worry about it. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Don't miss it. Visit ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com or text HOMER to 800-990-3776. HOMER, 800-990-3776.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. possible, and it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Is it time to buy an engagement ring?
Or a big anniversary diamond?
Kessler's has diamonds that come from diamond mines.
And we also have diamonds that come from plasma chambers.
When you see the size of the diamond you can afford when you look at our high-tech newborn created diamonds,
You're going to be happy, happy, happy.
and with approved credit, our financing plans make anything possible.
Our selection of engagement rings is beyond compare.
And our custom design department can modify any ring in any way you choose.
Anyone who says they can give you a better ring
Or a better diamond.
Or a better price.
has never been to Kessler's.
And our miraculous no small print warranty says,
If you bought it at Kessler's, it's guaranteed.
It's just that simple.
And all maintenance is free forever.
No charge.
yes, it really is that miraculous.
You found a partner you want to share your life with.
When you're ready to celebrate.
We've got a diamond for that.
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Football season. Best time of the year and my favorite time of the year. This is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman. On game days, my favorite teammate is a cold carbless in my hand. Premium cocktails in a can made right here in the great state of Wisconsin. Maybe it's when I'm at the tailgate ahead of kickoff or getting ready at home for the game. Carbless is there. Zero sugar, zero carbs, and gluten-free. Carbless features classic cocktails like margarita, Paloma, and even Moscow Mule, and vodka cocktail flavors like cranberry, lemon, and peach. Find it on your next grocery trip. Carbless. Less is more.
You're listening to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
You ready? It's playoff time for the Green Bay Packers. Packers-Eagles, 3:30 kick this afternoon. Winner advances. Packers win today. They would play the Detroit Lions next week in Detroit. But let's not get ahead of our skis here. We got a game to focus on. Yeah, John. Yeah, Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Bryan Bulaga with you. I'm the guy that gets ahead of my skis. John Anderson's certainly not that guy. We haven't heard from him much yet this morning, other than the on the Marquez Valdez-Scantling jersey that is sitting behind him at his son's apartment. John, how we feeling ahead of Packers-Eagles? Where are you at?
Well, first off, to your introduction to Bryan, I'd feel much better if Bryan was playing and not just having his first game on the radio before the playoff game. I like when you said his back playing in Philly in his first. I would prefer that situation. Bryan, you're great here, but if we could put you in pads, I would feel better about that when we come through. What else did you say on the way? By the way, the biggest concern I have: are we going to have to listen to Homer going to Ireland for 9 months, that spot?
That is correct, yes.
9 months of that spot. Oh my God. It's going to be amazing.
You want to go? You could text Homer.
Yeah, you're part of the Homer Hour.
You can text Homer to 800-990-3776 to get information.
9 months of that till August. That'll be great. As you were leaving, am I nervous? No, I am not nervous. I'm not anxious. I'm eager. And I hope that's what the team is, right? Anxious is kind of anxiety. I know you want to have some nerves when you go in. You don't want to just be flat, but hopefully that shows itself as an eagerness to play. I'm not scared, scared, get a dog. What I think what it is I feel a little like the Herb Brooks speech in Miracle. Like, what you've earned here today, men, is an opportunity. And I think that's really what it like. Here's a way to erase 17 weeks of what has been sort of uneven, sloppy play, literally within games, within week to week, even when you had runs for a 4 or 5 where they won them. None of those games were perfect, but you got yourself into the tournament. And now you have this opportunity. You have these 60 minutes, and you can cure all kinds of ills that were here during the season. You can cover up a lot of that and earn your way into whatever the next game is, because we're not looking that far ahead. But you've earned yourself that opportunity. And if you can stay within that moment, let's not think about what we did before. because we've corrected that. We've looked at the films. Hopefully we've gone over that. So we're done. Now we're in today's game, and we're just living in this moment for these 60 minutes. And then to be aware of, Bryan talked about the different kind of vibe you get, the feel when it's the playoffs, is you also got to realize how finite that is. So turnovers now aren't like, we get to play next week. Like every turnover is magnified. Every third down is magnified. Every third down is, even if you don't get them off the field, you can't take 3rd and 17 and make it 4th and 2. So they're like, maybe we can go for this, right? It needs to be 4th and 12. It can't be, all those little things. You get in the red zone like they did in the first game, right? The first 2 trips down there after turnovers and they get field goals. That's the thing that hopefully gives them the chance to clean that up, is that everything here is magnified, because at the end of these 60 minutes, it could be done. We don't get to go play the Bears next week or the Titans or whomever. And so I hope that eagerness is there because it's the playoffs. Bryan says that's kind of built in. I think it is, that you guys know that. But then that they just realize that this is the opportunity they can write a lot of things that this whole, or answer a lot of those question marks that they raised themselves over the last 18 weeks and 17 games.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, John. And the thing you kept pointing out is, I don't know, I think one of the knocks on Green Bay this year is we haven't seen them play a complete 60 minutes, right? And it's a buzzword these days in the NFL, but I'm going to use it here. Complementary football, right? They haven't really done it for a complete 60 this year. And if they have, when was the last time? October? Against Arizona, maybe? Probably their best overall performance of the season?
New Orleans, certainly.
Sure, 34-0, you're right.
Granted, that was,
a JV team, but
that's not a great team, but that's what they did. That you thought they were starting to build that momentum until it came to a screeching halt against Minnesota, and then whatever the hell happened last week.
Yeah, we're just going to ignore that.
But I don't think you can.
You can't.
That's a data point that exists, and
I just want to ignore it.
Yeah, no, hey, I think they would love to as well. I want to as well, but
Packers
you can't.
enter the playoffs 11-5.
11-5. They're 11-5. They went 1-4 at NFC North play. I just want to. But
like diving, you can throw out the low score.
Yeah, right.
And we'll just,
right. Just like college, and John, you'll be getting into this, right? When you give out your exams, if you give 4 of them, you only take the 3 highest scores. We're only going to take the 16 best games played by the Packers this year.
That's it.
Regardless, I'm curious. We'll start with your perspective, Gabe, on this. For a team that has struggled to put together a complete 60 minutes, obviously it's now or never, right? You need to have a really solid performance here today in Philadelphia. Do you believe they can pull it together and do that today?
I don't, and I've been trying to figure out all week why. Because on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this week, especially on Friday, we were accused of being overly negative. And look, I think they've got a chance. And you're a playoff team, you're in there, and I think I kind of figured out why after I thought about it yesterday and then this morning and started digging. I always felt when in Bryan's era of the Packers, I always felt that they had a chance in every single playoff game, and I felt good about their chance because of who was at quarterback. Like with Aaron Rodgers, anything was possible. We're not there yet with Jordan Love, and he has played some of his worst football when the competition level has stepped up. And when you take a look at what he did this year against playoff teams and compare that to the other NFC quarterbacks against playoff teams, he underperformed. And he hasn't stepped up in the moments that they've needed him the most. And so often in playoff football, it can just boil down to, hey, do you have the best quarterback today or don't you? And so often the Packers did, and that's how they were able to pull off a game like they did in 2016 against the Dallas Cowboys. It's how Jeff Janis somehow gets 100 yards receiving in a game-tying drive scenario in 2015 in Arizona because of who was at quarterback. Jordan Love, especially without Christian Watson, needs to elevate the play of those around him, and he hasn't done that yet in his career. I'm not saying he's not ever going to do it. I'm just saying he has yet to do it. And to think that it's suddenly going to happen now, that's what I've been struggling with. Like, oh, yeah, all of a sudden there's just a switch that he's flipped. He's figured it out, and he's going to be able to elevate the receiving core without the guy who's been their best receiver since the bye.
Is he the better quarterback in today's matchup?
So that's the good news, because Jalen Hurts hasn't played great.
Yeah, I think the answer is yes, especially coming off of injury. right?
Sure, I don't know, but I don't know if
weeks.
it's a definitive yes, because Jalen Hurts also adds a rushing element that Jordan Love does not have.
150 carries this year.
And that's something that, Jalen Hurts, that even when you shut down the play the way other teams can do with Jordan Love, Love can scramble from time to time, maybe pick up a first down, but Jalen Hurts is going to be able to, really do some damage with his legs if you allow him to do that.
Yeah, and obviously they have a pretty darn good running back in that backfield as well in Saquon Barkley. Bryan Bulaga, is this an opportunity for this team to finally piece it all together? Do you have faith in them to do that today?
Well, it's certainly an opportunity. It's kind of what Gabe was saying, like, do you trust them to do it or think they can do it and think against a really good football team they're going to find it? And that's like, listen, things can happen and turnarounds can happen. And it's not like this team can't play really good football. We've seen stretches of really good football, whether you think it's against bad competition or not. You've seen them play really good football against Detroit. You've seen them play good football against Minnesota and even against Philly. So, no, not complete games, but you've seen them play really good against those teams, right? No, not for the full four quarters as you want them to, but in stretches through those games, you're like, man, that looks really good, right? But it hasn't been for the duration that you want. So, yes, I do think they could put it together, but in the playoffs, there isn't such thing as two good quarters. You can't play two good quarters and win the game. That doesn't happen, right? That's just not the way it goes. Like Gabe, you mentioned it, Dallas 2016, that came down to the last 3 seconds of the game. We were beating Dallas that entire game. Dallas came back and we won it with 3 seconds left in the game. That's 4 quarters worth of play. So that's what I'm a little bit nervous about today is can they play 4 quarters against a really good Philly team? And with who's the better quarterback? I think Jordan Love is the better quarterback of the two guys today. The thing that worries me the most is, are we going to be able to pressure Jalen Hurts enough against this offensive line to make him feel uncomfortable? Because if we let Jalen Hurts just kind of sit back there and go through his progressions and do that, he's gonna just pick us apart, and he will, because he's got the weapons to do it. He's got the offensive line that can hold up in pass pro for 4, 5, 6 seconds. Those guys are really good. I think very highly of Mulata and Lane Johnson and those guys. They're really good offensive linemen. So they know what they're doing. Then they got the back and they got the tight end. They got the 2 wideouts. So the question is, can we do enough to disrupt Jalen Hurts? It's not is he going to want to run? Probably not, right? He's probably not going to want to run after his last time running has a bad concussion that sets him out for 2 weeks. So he probably doesn't want to run, but are we going to be able to force him to? That's the question. So I'm a little nervous that we'll be able to just put it together for 4 quarters suddenly today. That's what I'm a little nervous about. And could they do it? Sure they could. But it's against a team that you're going to have to play damn near perfect to make that come true.
Final word on this, John Anderson.
I would argue that on offense, quarterback is the only position right now that the Packers have an advantage.
Yeah.
Where they have the better player. And that's only because of how they've played recently. It was Jalen Hurts got his team to a Super Bowl. So he's good and he's capable. And as we talk about, can Jordan Love piece it together, blah, blah, blah. If he kind of finds the form that he had in that playoff run, then I don't even know if they have the advantage there. How they've kind of played this season, I would say that Jordan Love right now would be the guy to take. But but the other fella has done enough and, has made a run, has been to the championship game in the conference, made it to the Super Bowl. So he is not without his bona fides in this whole thing. But the idea that, if the Packers' lack of pass rush combined against an offensive line that's pretty stout, right? I don't know that Lane Johnson's been beat once in 5 years in the last couple of years. That guy is he's a mauler. Along with Jason Kelsey's been great for ESPN. I don't know that they've missed a step at that position.
No, the center. I think the center was a Pro Bowler. Their center was a Pro Bowler. So
And it's one of the old things, right? We talk for 3.5 hours, but seriously, who's going to control the line of scrimmage? And if that's the case, then that could be lights out in a hurry. Again, I don't think it goes that way, but those are the things that concern me, is that line can just maul people. And the Packers couldn't stop Saquon Barkley when he was a giant, for the love of Pete. And they were just kind of finding out when they got, they were that first game in Brazil. They're still like, okay, yeah, we got him. What are we going to do with him? Now they realize we can do whatever the hell we want.
And he still scored 3 touchdowns in that game, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see even more of him in this one than we did in the first one. And so that, this whole thing, I think, boils down to that. What are they going to do with that offensive line? And do they just see if they can just, power and pound the heck out of Saquon Barkley, and make this? We talk about 3.5 hours. Like, the game could be, if both teams do what their strength is, the game gets over in 2.5 hours, right? Because they're going to throw. Each team's going to throw it 15 times and run it 40.
Run. Right.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see what it is. But I do think it is very much surprising. Like, Jordan Love has to be great today.
Yes, he does.
Listen, all these postseasons, if they're going to make it, and last year against the Cowboys, he was great in that game. And when there was an opportunity, he made it, and he made plays late. He found open receivers. If he plays like that, then you're in good shape. We haven't seen him play quite like that yet. I get there's been fits and starts and injuries and here and there, but he has not taken a giant leap yet. Maybe that comes. But the Packers' hope is how well Jordan Love plays. And I think on the other side offensively is just how much they want to do with Saquon Barkley. And because I think they could, in that line, they could really make life miserable for the Packers on defense.
Yep, don't get it twisted. Jordan Love played the best game of his career last year in the wild card round. He needs to do that again today if they're going to win. It's as simple as that, right? He needs to have a career night if the Packers are going to win in Philadelphia. I'm not saying it's not possible. Just high expectations, especially when you're without Christian Watson. Hey, scary stuff out in California this week. If you're able, please help the people affected by the California wildfires in the Los Angeles area. You can donate today. redcross.org/ESPN. That's redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover. Again, that website, redcross.org/ESPN. We head to Philadelphia coming up next. 40 degrees out there in Philly. Beautiful day for some playoff football. Rob Domofsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, joins us next right here on Green Bay Game Day.
We're back with Green Bay Game Day after this on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Join the roar of 18,000 Bucs fans at Fiserv Forum and be a part of the slam dunks, game-changing plays, and electrifying victories live. Witness the edge-of-your-seat action and unforgettable moments as they happen. You don't want to miss this. Grab your calendar, handpick your favorite matchups, and secure your seats for Dame time in Milwaukee and every incredible moment that comes next at Bucs.com/tickets. That's Bucs.com/tickets.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And it is playoff time, now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Prize Picks, the best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the app today. Use code WI. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion, or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite game, Response in Wisconsin. Guess the most popular responses from Wisconsinites. Okay, here we go. What's your least favorite thing about winter in Wisconsin? Gina Della from Pella.
Let me guess. Frozen toes? Oh, I know. Driving alongside bumper cars every time it snows. And then scrambling to find someone to watch your kids because they're school clothes. Yeah! Let's face it, this is just the time of the year when we just want to all be warm and snuggly at home. And Pella helps make your home as beautiful on the outside as it is comfortable on the inside. With inviting doors to let friends and family in and beautiful energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out. Pella Windows and Doors is the best choice to make your home just right. Celebrate the new year with 0% interest for up to 3 years.
Thanks for playing Response in Wisconsin.
Hurry! You only have until January 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. Hey ESPN Wisconsin fans, Brad Nortman here. Whether you're an athlete like me or just want to feel your best, Quintessa's new wellness center in Brookfield is your go-to for peak performance. With services like hormone therapy, IV drip therapy, medical weight loss, and anti-aging, Quintessa has everything to keep your body running at its best. It's not just about game day, it's about every day. Check out myquintessa.com/wellness and see how Quintessa can help you stay at the top of your game. Your body deserves it.
This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Go time, Green Bay Game Day ahead of Packers-Eagles wild card weekend out in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Super Bowl champion Bryan Bulaga hanging out with you here on Green Bay Game Day, which is presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Joining us now is the three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, covering the Packers for ESPN's NFL Nation. It is the great Rob Demovsky, bold, bald, and beautiful, joining us on this Sunday afternoon from Philadelphia. Rob, beautiful day in Philly. You're actually getting like a nice little vacation in. 40 degrees out there, I'm seeing?
Absolutely gorgeous. I had a nice walk around the stadium on my way in, and I'm now up in the press box, and let's get this thing going.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the opportunity to just give us a rundown, right? Injury reports throughout the week. Jordan Love's going to play. Malik Willis is off the injury report. Defensively, it seems like the Packers getting a lot of pieces back. Run us through what we should know ahead of Packers-Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a brief moment of pause yesterday when the Packers added Sean Clifford to the roster as the third quarterback, but you have to remember they had that open roster spot from Jair Alexander going on IR, so no issues with the quarterbacks. There was no, they weren't added to the injury report or anything, so the Sean Clifford move was just to fill a roster spot and get him up for the opportunity to dress on game day. Offensively, obviously they're not getting Christian Watson back, but everything else is looking pretty good. On the defensive side of the ball, it looks like Quay Walker and Evan Williams will play. TJ Slayton didn't do a whole lot at practice this week, and while people may not get too excited about the possibility of having TJ Slayton, I mean, let's not forget he's probably their best or one of their best interior run defenders, and we all know who's running the football for the other team. So TJ Slayton's probably the one pregame injury to watch.
Rob, true or false, Jordan Love needs to be the best player on the field today for the Packers to win?
False.
Ooh.
Care to elaborate?
Yeah, Gabe, he needs to be really good, but he doesn't need to be a hero, right? Like, I still say the formula is if Josh Jacobs goes for, 125 plus, I think that may be more important than Jordan Love throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, I mean, Jordan Love's got to be good. He does not have to be a hero. And I think, it'll be interesting to see, how they start the game with him and whether they try to go vertical against this team. But I don't think you're going to, and that's the whole Vic Fangio defense. And that's why I think, Gabe, that he probably won't be the best player on the field because that's not the way the Eagles, play defense. They're going to make him dink and dunk, and then he can't turn it over. So to me, obviously the quarterback has to play really well. But I don't know that that's necessarily the only way the Packers win.
Always a thrill catching up with Rob Demovsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, and always a thrill to dive into the brain of John Anderson when Rob Demovsky joins us here on Green Bay Game Day. Go ahead, John.
No, so I think he has to be great. What that great looks like doesn't necessarily have to be 4 touchdowns and 300 yards. I just think he can't be, careless and sloppy and some of those other things. So, Rob,
right.
I read the stuff. Everybody says the right thing. How are you convinced of the Packers when they say, we're ready and it's a new season and it's a start to this and we can get things cleaned up? Like, are they convincing when you're in the locker room chatting with them when you hear that?
Well, John, here's what I do buy. I do buy the fact that they didn't just slough off the last 2 weeks and say, oh, that doesn't matter. We were in the playoffs anyway. They have not said that. To me, that's a good thing. They've admitted their shortcomings the last couple of weeks, and they're not burying their head in the sand. So from that standpoint, I am, somewhat convinced that this team is in the right headspace. The vibe is as good as it can be. And there is definitely, a different buzz to playoff weeks. And I do think this team sort of embodied that as the week goes on. Incidentally, real quick before we move on to the next question, the day would not be complete without me running into Sal Palantonio in the press box and him telling you, John, that he says hello.
Oh, Sal's a Navy man. He is such a good dude. Love Sal Pal. Thank you, Rob.
Yep.
Hey, Rob. How you doing, man? It's good to hear.
Brian.
I'm glad you're enjoying your time in Philly. It's always city brotherly love. They're so nice out there. But
I had a cheesesteak this morning, and it was technically this morning. At about 11 o'clock, I did go for a late breakfast, early lunch.
I was going to ask if you got your cheesesteak fix. Glad to hear you did.
Del Rossi's, not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but it was very good.
Yeah, man, you could eat those for breakfast. There's no problem with that. So you said that you don't think Jordan Love needs to be the best player. You think the formula could be, Jacobs running for 125 yards. I mean, looking at the Eagles defensively, they're the number 1 overall total defense in the league.
Yeah.
They give up about a $104 rushing a game. That's what their average is, at least. Their passing numbers are even better than that. Is there a formula for that for Green Bay to be able to run the ball like that on Philly, I guess? Is there proof that can be the formula, I guess?
Yeah, to me, it is possible, Brian, but to me the formula is more intermediate stuff over the middle of the field. And to me, that's where Tucker Kraft and Jaden Reed come in. That's the Vic Fangio defense, right? So to me, those are maybe the two guys I would be most banking on. The other thing, Brian, this isn't maybe unique to playoff games, but I feel like it's extra important in playoff games, is that defensively they have to make a couple of plays, right? Like you think about playoff wins, even last year, right? There was a big defensive play. Darnell Savage, of all people, right, made a big defensive play early in the game in Dallas, picking off Dak Prescott. It just seems like, and I go back to, I'm back in Philadelphia, so it reminds me of Tremont Williams' interception in the 2010 wild card game. It just seems like, you can't make 0 plays defensively and win playoff games. So I just think those are the formulas to win a game that's maybe like, 21-17 type of football game.
If there's a Packer that doesn't get enough flowers, it is one of my all-time favorites, Tremont Williams. So I'm glad Rob brought him up there. Rob Demovsky with us here on Green Bay Game Day, ESPN Wisconsin 620 WTMJ. Rob, what's been the bigger upgrade over the course of the last calendar year for the Packers? Is it from the aforementioned Darnell Savage to Xavier McKinney at safety, or is it the coordinator switch, Joe Barry to Jeff Hafley? What's been the bigger upgrade?
Wow, that's a good question. Their safety play was so bad last year. But I think it took the right defensive system in order for a guy like Xavier McKinney to flourish. Not that X isn't a great player, but he's also got to be put in positions that they're putting him in. So I've got a hard time answering that question other than to say yes to both.
Yeah, that's fair. Both very big upgrades, and obviously we've given them plenty of their flowers, rightfully so this year. Go ahead, Gabe.
How healthy is Luke Musgrave in terms of getting a more full complement of snaps, and could his speed and 2 tight end sets be something they try to use to offset no Christian Watson?
We haven't really seen much of that so far, Gabe, have we? Since Musgrave's been back, it's just been a few snaps here or there. I think he did have maybe one catch last week. And I'll put it this way. I've yet to see any evidence that he is going to be the, speed tight end that we thought he was. I mean, I know he's back from the ankle injury, but that was anytime you have to have surgery on your ankle, that's a bad deal. And, even though you're back, it's hard to get your push off, back right away. So I think it might be a bit too much to ask for Luke Musgrave to have a major impact on this game.
Yeah. What's the Packers' biggest advantage today, Rob? Coaching staff?
Here's what I think it is. I think it's the pressure on Philadelphia, given how some of their shortcomings in the last couple of seasons. I just think there's intense pressure on Nick Sirianni. I mean, I know they won 14 games in the regular season, but if they flame out again early in the playoffs, that's not a great sign.
Could he lose his job if they lose today?
I mean, I don't think you can rule it out. I mean, remember what it was like last offseason around him? Like, him and the quarterback and those issues. So, to me, that's the Packers' biggest advantage. And I would say it's a little bit of their same advantage last year in Dallas. It's easy to be the 7th seed. It really is from a mental standpoint. And I think that's where, that's where if the Eagles, sphincter gets a little tight, if I'm allowed to say sphincter on the radio.
You are.
Okay.
If not, you just said it twice, so I guess we got to let it go.
That's why I did it, Gabe. I doubled down.
That's so good for Rob Domofsky here with us on Green Bay Game Day. Bryan, what's on your mind? What else you got for Rob?
I guess, Rob, if we're looking at, I mean, we talked about it earlier. Like, we're looking at Green Bay's defensive front against Philly's offensive line. Like, Hafley's probably most likely going to have to create some type of pressure package to bother Hurts. Because I was talking to, Wilde on the Homer Hour on Thursday, and he said you guys were talking to Hafley, and he said that the rush plan that he had week 1 is not doing that again. It was a mush rush style plan that's out the window because it doesn't work. Mush rush never works. So there's got to be more of an aggressive style or plan that he's coming into this week. I would imagine there's going to be 5-6 rushers trying to make him anxious. Is that what you think's coming?
Well, and the other thing too, Bryan, I mean, like, not only was it the first game of the season, it was the first game that Jeff Hafley had called for this team, right? So you at that point, he's probably still very much feeling out what he had. And I think the one thing we've seen from Jeff Hafley as the season's gone along is not necessarily that they're, sending 5 and 6 man pressures, but they're sending different guys. There might be 5 or 6 different guys that have big pass rushing plays, not all on the same, the same snap, obviously, but I mean, we've seen him send, linebackers, and then, it's still a 4-man rush. So technically you can't call it a blitz. But it's still a blitzing player from a non-traditional pass rushing position. And, I mean, the guys to watch out, in that regard, obviously the number 1 is Edgerrin Cooper, right? I mean, he's shown an ability to do that, and get home even when he's, rushing, but it's still only a 4-man pressure. So to me, that's where I think that you might see Jeff Hafley get a little bit more aggressive.
I would guess he will, right? You mentioned Cooper. He's got Evan Williams healthy. He's got Javon Bullard healthy. He's got Quay Walker healthy. This feels like one of the first games this season where all 4 of those guys will be on the field together. So aggressiveness could really be cranked up by Hafley.
And you hate to sound coach speak though, but a lot of it depends on down and distance. You have to be in the right down and distances. Like, you can't be giving up 6-7 yards on first or second down. Like, that's not a formula. So, if you do that, then you can get a little bit more aggressive on third down.
Rob, always appreciate the insight. Last thing for you, as always. Are we talking to you next week, or is this our final conversation of the year?
Last year going to Dallas, Alex, I just went into that game. They got no chance to win, and of course they win in pretty big fashion. This year, I think they're going to win, so that probably means they'll lose. But I do think they have a really good shot at winning. To be honest with you, I think the over. Maybe I'm putting too much pressure in an intangible, or too much emphasis in intangible. But that pressure on Philadelphia, to me, might make them crack.
I love it. I will always applaud positivity here on Green Bay Game
By the
Day.
way, I just used sphincter and crack in the same radio hit. So.
Well, we'll see if you can do better than that next week, Rob, because according to you, we'll be talking to you. Hold on.
I'd like to take credit for Rob's appearances on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy for him using such language.
Is it your fault?
Not my fault, but our show's fault. Yes.
No,
certainly.
you've conditioned me to that. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a chance. There's a chance the show could be back next week, but Rob might not. PG-13 thing's gone right the hell out the window.
That's very good, John. I appreciate it.
Very good point by John Anderson. Rob, appreciate you as always. Hopefully we're talking to you next week ahead of the divisional round. Thanks, buddy.
We'll be seeing you.
The great Rob Domofsky, ESPN NFL Nation reporter. Read him, ESPN.com, see him, ESPN TV, and, of course, hear him right here on ESPN Wisconsin and Wisconsin On Demand, 620 WTMJ, etc. Same game plan for both of these teams. We'll dive into it. I'll explain what I mean. Coming up next, it's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
Stay right here. Green Bay Game Day will be right back on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
I'm very familiar with Gruber Law offices because they're always out in the community.
Gruber Law offices are known to be honest, hardworking.
They're always involved in our neighborhoods.
Gruber Law offices make our community a better place.
They are the best. For nearly 40 years, Gruber Law offices has helped people throughout Wisconsin. If you're injured, we're here to help. One call, that's all.
Wisconsin would not be the same without Gruber Law offices.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey, riding with you every mile since 1977.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Fingers come in different sizes.
It's one of the first things you learn as a jeweler.
And a ring can only be sized up or down a little bit.
Which means it's a really good thing to know your ring size.
And it's an even better thing to know their ring size.
This is why we're announcing
the Ring Size Registry at Kessler's.
We're doing it as a public service. It's completely free.
Free. Isn't that a great price?
Here's how it works.
Just drop into any Kessler's Diamonds location and tell one of the owners that you'd like to know your ring size.
Kessler's is an employee-owned company, so whoever greets you at the door is an owner.
They'll determine your ring sizes and add them to our Ring Size Registry.
Then, when someone wants to know your ring size...
Because, you know, maybe they want to surprise you.
All they have to do is call or stop into Kessler's.
Surprises can be fun, don't you think?
We're happy to do this for you, even if you don't buy a ring from us.
But after you take a look around, we think you probably will. Visit KesslersDiamonds.com for a location near you and register your ring sizes today.
Dr. Aaron Holtebeck and his team at Holtebeck Eye Center make vision care a top priority with the latest technologies at their state-of-the-art Brookfield office. Dr. Holtebeck has been helping local patients with their eye care needs for over 20 years. And now, Holtebeck Eye Center is excited to add Dr. Nausheen Abbas to their team. Dr. Abbas is an ophthalmologist and cornea specialist that is now available to see patients. Located in Brookfield near the corner of Calhoun and Capitol, learn more about their services at holtebeck.com.
Football season. Best time of the year and my favorite time of the year. This is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman. On game days, my favorite teammate is a cold carbless in my hand. Premium cocktails in a can made right here in the great state of Wisconsin. Maybe it's when I'm at the tailgate ahead of kickoff or getting ready at home for the game. Carbless is there. Zero sugar, zero carbs, and gluten-free. Carbless features classic cocktails like margarita, Paloma, and even Moscow Mule, and vodka cocktail flavors like cranberry, lemon, and peach. Find it on your next grocery trip. Carbless. Less is more.
Welcome back to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
The Island Resort and Casino is a premier resort destination, the largest north of Milwaukee, with everything you like to do in one awesome location. Visit islandresortandcasino.com and book your total experience today. It's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin with the ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Bryan Bulaga hanging out with you until about 3:25 this afternoon as we lead you to kickoff Packers-Eagles wild card round at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Seems to me, fellas, like both teams going to be playing a similar style. Make the opposing quarterback beat you. Slow down Saquon, slow down Josh Jacobs. It seems like that is going to be both of the teams' MO today. It just comes down to now which team can execute the game plan better. Look, the Packers have been really good against the run this year. They're the seventh best team in the NFL in that category. I'm still worried about stopping Saquon Barkley, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different animal, right? The dude rushed for over 2,000 yards, had a great game against the Packers, but that's what they have to do. I think they have to sell out to stop Saquon, because if you don't stop Saquon, then you don't have a chance.
You're agreed.
Now, you got to do whatever you can, and if you got to take some risks and some gambles, maybe Jalen Hurts isn't able to take advantage of some one-on-ones on the outside, but if you're unable to stop Saquon, that's number one, bold it, italicize it, whatever you want to do. If you don't stop Saquon, the defense is not going to give the team a chance.
Look, I have faith in Halfley. I think he's going to reveal some things we haven't seen a ton of this year, because I still think, and maybe this is just me being a blind fan, right? Blind hope, and hope is not a strategy, that he has some things up his sleeves that we haven't seen yet, because I do believe in him and how creative he's been defensively against a really good Philly team. John, is this a strategy that you think the Packers can get done? Can they slow down Saquon?
Yeah, I don't know if they can get it done. I know that it should be. I'll go Gabe one better. Like that should be the first three things on their list. Saquon, Barkley, and that. And although it's funny, I was talking with my son yesterday, and about how great Derrick Henry has been and Saquon Barkley, and I'm like they don't run for 2,000, 1,900 if they're on their old teams, right? I think switching teams to being on better teams is worth about 600 yards per guy. Otherwise, they'll be fine if they're still a Giant, and they're fine if they're Tennessee, but they're not where they're at right now when they get in those things. So yeah, you got to stop him, and this is and kind of I'll lead this into hear what Bryan has to say. I'm anxious to see, because yes, I think the game plans are the same with Jacobs and with Barkley. Is how patient is Matt LaFleur willing to be with Josh Jacobs if there's some 3 and outs? If there are some, hey, we get 2 yards, like how long will you still pound on that rock to get it to break? And Bryan, you've been on that line, right? I'm sure you've had games where it's been hard sledding in the first 3 and 4, the first half, and you guys like, but we know it's there if we just keep going. And I think that might be one of the keys for the Packers, is that even if it doesn't yield results right away, they may still need to just keep pounding, keep trying, even if it looks ugly early on, instead of going, well, that's not going to work. Let's just start flinging it down the field. I don't know where you are on that, Bryan.
Hold on real quick before we get to Bryan. Is that a Chiefs Marquez Valdez-Scantling behind it?
There
jersey
you go,
behind
buddy.
You now?
There you go. Yep, that's MVS
so
for the Chiefs.
Your son really likes MVS.
Does he have a Saints one?
We'll see how all things shall be revealed in time.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, Bryan. Go ahead.
This is like we've got a fan who's got like all the different Ryan and Tannehill jerseys, and I've had to make fun of that guy before.
Insane.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm not even
really
mad.
good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, hey, more power to him, man. That's great. I mean, well, to your point, John, like I agree. Like it's it's tough. I mean, from a player perspective, like you definitely understand, like, hey, like we know we can break them, we can get to it, we can make this thing work if we continue to lean on them, and we're close. We can push through this, but there's a couple different factors that go into that, right? One is obviously how the game is going, right? From on the other side of the ball, which we've seen the Packers at times, unfortunately, you get behind 21-14 and the coach already goes, all right, we can't do this anymore. We have to throw our way out of it and score. And that's one way you have to be taken out of it. And the other way is just the coach in general, which we always, I mean, I'm not saying it always happened, but not saying with LaFleur, but with Mike we were always going to throw out of it, right? Like it was always going to be, we may run a few times in the first series, but no matter what, it was always going to be Aaron's going to throw us out of it. Like, and that was going to be the way. So like, unfortunately, it wasn't normally till like the fourth quarter, we were just going to, beat our head against that wall until it finally broke and trying to run down the clock, where this team now, they're doing that early and they're breaking teams down early, and it's worked to some success. But when your defense is giving up, 17 points and you only got 3 or 7, the coach starts to get a little nervous. Like, hey, can we continue this trend without getting points? So that's where it's going to be decided, right? If Green Bay's holding Philly in check, then LaFleur can continue on with that formula, and he can continue to try to pound the rock and wear Philly out. But if Philly's moving the football and scoring touchdowns or even points and we're getting nothing, like ball's going to have to go in the air. So like something's going to have to give one way or another. But
absolutely,
I'm with you. Like you feel it as a player. Like, you can tell when things are starting to shift, and like, those 2-yard gains start to turn into 5-yard gains, and you can feel movement in double teams. Like you can feel it. And sometimes the coaches don't see it or they don't understand it. And by that time, sometimes it's too late, and your quarterback's in shotgun and you're running 2-jet or scat 2, and you're throwing it, and that's that. Hold on now.
It's going to be a fun one. Packers, Eagles. These are two really well-constructed teams, right? Like they've got weapons galore. Both defenses have made significant improvements from a year ago. It's going to be a fun one. Fun matchup at Lincoln Financial Field.
Real quick, I think there is a point to be made, is who can get the other team off their game plan, right? If you can make somebody shift, then now you're dictating instead of reacting.
Yeah, and that's ultimately who's probably going to win this game, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. John Anderson, Bryan Bulaga, Gabe Neitzel, Alex Strouf hanging out with you. We roll into hour number 2 of Green Bay Game Day coming up next, and that, of course, is the Jason Wilde Hour, 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, co-host of Wilde and Tausch. Jason Wilde joins us next, hour 2 of Green Bay Game Day, right after this.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Now's the time to plan your total experience getaway to the Island Resort and Casino. With over 450 hotel rooms and a luxurious spa, relax in style before diving into nonstop casino action. Watch your favorite teams on the big screens and enjoy great food and drinks at T. McSee's Sports Bar, or savor top-tier dining at Horizon Steakhouse. Then amp up your night with live music and comedy. Head to where the big game, big wins, and big fun come together. The Island Resort and Casino.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting another Scramble tournament with $750 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellison, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a 2-man scramble at Pebble Beach, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through January 31st. Your winter chance to play Pebble Beach awaits. WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman, here to tell you about my friends at Bank 5-9. Everywhere I go throughout the area, I see Bank 5-9, and it's no wonder why. Not only do they have 14 branch locations, but their employees spend nearly 9,000 hours each year volunteering in the communities that they serve. That's on top of the financial support that they provide to several hundred nonprofits right here in southeastern Wisconsin. If you're looking for a true local community bank, check them out today at bank59.com. Member FDIC.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
If you've been busy this past holiday season, then it's time to finally focus on you. And that's where Macy's comes in. Come and treat yourself to something great, like rejuvenating skincare routines from Lancome, Estee Lauder, Clinique, Shiseido, Kiehl's, and more of your favorites. With so many great deals at Macy's, you'll be able to pick up a new cleanser and a new serum and a new moisturizer now during our Deals for Great Skin event. So, what are you waiting for? Refresh your routine today at Macy's.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelty. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelty can help provide you with semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less.
How do I get started with Zelty?
Just send them a text.
Text COMMON to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty to see if you're eligible. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text COMMON to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text COMMON to 200-300. COMMON to 200-300.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman from KBN. Tune in to Kyle Bruston Nortman every day from 2 to 5. WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Party people! It's time to get this tailgate started and get you ready for the green and gold game. This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Now broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside Gabe Neitzel, ESPN legend John Anderson, and green and gold legend Ryan Bulaga. Here's Alex Strouf.
Away we go, Hour 2, Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel with you from the Gruber Law Offices. One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Wipeout and ESPN legend John Anderson somewhere in the great country of the United States of America. Bryan Bulaga at his homestead down in Florida and joining us dancing in the lovely city of Green Bay is the three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, co-host of Wilde and Tausch, Jason Wilde on the Jason Wilde Hour here on Green Bay Game Day. Jason, you're wearing your green today. I like it.
Celtic Football Club. I have no idea if they're any good or not. I just like the color. I had the hat that matched the sweatshirt. It was cold in the basement. Didn't want to wear Packers gear. Didn't want to wear Eagles. I don't have any Packers gear. Didn't want to wear any Boston College gear in case Jeff Hafley was here. So I just wanted to go straight at whatever I was wearing.
So what happened this week? You wore a Boston College sweatshirt to Jeff Hafley's press conference, and then he asked you publicly what size you wear, and you didn't like that. What happened?
No, I wasn't bothered by that. I mean, I believe one of my colleagues said, "Oh, I don't know if you want to ask that," because there's a brotherhood, camaraderie, if you will. So about 6 weeks ago, Jeff Hafley noticed I was wearing like a Virginia basketball hoodie because, obviously I mean, he's not the coach anymore, but I have a really good relationship with Tony Bennett. And so I like to support his team. And then the next week, I think I wore like a SMU basketball hoodie, which I just liked the way it looked.
Okay.
And so he started noticing every week I was wearing a different hoodie. And then last week, knowing he was doing this, I wore a Pitt Panthers one that I have. And that led to the conversation. That's where he met his wife. And we had a good exchange. And he asked if I had a Boston College one. And I said I did. And so he forgot about it totally. He knew that the first question out of the chute was going to be, the hell were you guys doing at the end of the Bears game? And so he came in, I think he was kind of, rueing the fact that he was going to have to talk to us. Mm-hmm. And there I am sitting with a you-know-what eating grin on my face with my Boston College hoodie, which is probably 9 or 10 years old, which I was a slightly thinner guy 9 or 10 years ago. So it was somewhat ill-fitting, but I did it for the team, and he got a big kick out of it, and he did offer me some new gear, which I said I will have to take him up on, since I literally took it off back when I got in my office because I did not wear it. We also presented the Tom Mulhern Award that day, so I was not going to be wearing a schmedium Boston College sweatshirt while giving out our prestigious award. So I changed out of that sweatshirt, and I literally brought it home and gave it to Paula to put in her Poshmark sales pile. So that sweatshirt will be headed to some happy home somewhere, probably in Boston. But it was a great week. We gave out the Tom Mulhern Award to Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, which is our stand-up guy award. One of these things is not like the other, the old thing they used to do on Sesame Street. One of these people in this four square has won the Tom Mulhern Award. It's not Gabe, and it's not John.
It was me?
No, it's not Strouf.
Oh.
So it was a great week, and now we'll see if it was a great week of preparation for a team to deliver a great win, an upset win, today at Lincoln Financial Field.
Well, you bring that up, and I know how much that means to you. Your mentor, of course, the late Tom Mulhern, and that's named after him. But the two individuals that received that award are in their first season as Green Bay Packers. Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney. As we prepare for a wild card game and another postseason run for Green Bay, I think it's a good time to acknowledge Goody. Great job in free agency this past year with both of those swings. Xavier McKinney also this week named a first-team All-Pro by the Associated Press. And we know how big a part of the game plan that Josh Jacobs will be today for Green Bay in this postseason game offensively. How important have those two been to this team's success, finishing the regular season 11-6?
So I think probably during the course of the season, I said this was my favorite story to write probably 3 or 4 times.
You did.
But now today's story is my favorite story to write. So the night before their signings became official, they had already agreed to terms. Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs, Matt LaFleur, Ben Sermons, the running backs coach, Jeff Hafley, Ryan Downer, the defensive backs coach, Derek Ansley, obviously LaFleur. Apparently everyone except for Steno, who apparently didn't get invited. He said his got lost in the mail. But they all had dinner at Tavern in the Sky at Lodge Kohler, overlooking Lambeau Field. Xavier McKinney's mom was there. His uncle was there. And I kind of went behind the scenes and talked to all those guys about that dinner because – and Keyshawn Nixon, by the way, would take major exception to you not including him among the free agent signings because he was technically a free agent for a few days.
I guess that's true.
And then signed with the Packers. He was at dinner, too.
Oh, was he?
He wanted to make sure I knew that. He was a great source for the story. But, look, there was a feeling that night that they had really changed their football team. And as we know, they made the playoffs last year with a first-year starting quarterback and the youngest roster in the league. But they added 2 guys who are both young players themselves still at age 25 for McKinney and 26 for Josh Jacobs, but guys that were experienced, that had been captains, and both on the field and off. Matt LaFleur, I talked to him for about 10 minutes after his press conference on Friday, and he just... He didn't want me to write that they exceeded his expectations. And I said, Matt, I'm guessing based on their contracts, you had really high expectations for them to begin with. To say that they exceeded them really says something. And he said, you know what? You're right. That's fair. And so to understand just what difference makers these guys have been, not only rushing for 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns, not only 8 interceptions and being first team All-Pro, like this team is, I feel fairly confident. I wrote this in the story. I feel fairly confident this team is not here without them. Like, I don't care how good you feel about Jordan Love. I don't care how good you feel about, if Aaron Jones had been re-signed, because I love Aaron Jones. But I'm convinced that this team is spending today in their offseason if those two guys are not on the roster.
Bryan Bulaga won the 2019 Tom Mulhern Stand-Up Guy Award, and I want to go to him because when I hear about this dinner that I learned about this week, I'm just fascinated in this behind-the-scenes stuff. Blue, were you ever a part of any dinners like the one Jason wrote about today?
Absolutely not. No, I never got invited to any dinner. No, because I can assure you, no one cared about signing me as a free agent. Even when I got re-signed to Green Bay, no one cared about me.
Hearing how Keyshawn Nixon operated, I thought maybe Blue got a little tavern in the sky.
Nope, nobody cared that much to have me for dinner when I re-signed as a free agent. But I mean, I think when you bring in, you look at those two players, right? Those are franchise, besides like quarterbacks, right? You bring in quarterbacks, or you bring in a guy like Charles Woodson. I mean, you can kind of look at McKinney, what he becomes as he grows as a player. I'm not putting him in the same category, but as he matures as a player and where he becomes, you bring in these types of players. Those are franchise-changing players, right? I mean, and that's how you treat those types of guys. So it doesn't shock me that is how they courted them and how they treated those guys and when they came in and treated their family. So it doesn't shock me at all. And, I'm a little more disappointed that Steno didn't get the invite. The offensive coordinator doesn't get the invite when the running back comes into town. I mean, it's a little disrespectful. But you know what? That's okay. You know what? Hey, former offensive line coach.
I was about to say, he's just sticking up for the former O-lineman. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, former offensive line coach. Again, hey, you know what? We'll just do our job. That's okay. That's fine. It's all right.
Thankless.
No big deal.
Thankless job.
Thankless job. Thankless job.
Is that award behind you in any of the things you have sitting there, Brian? Is that
great question?
I see your Ryder Cup, but I think you got like a Motor Trend Car of the Year award back there. I don't know what the hell you got back there.
Wildy says it damn well better be.
No, that one is upstairs in the media room. I got one. All the other ones upstairs.
He's got so many awards, he just doesn't know what to do with
What's
them
the
all.
media room? What does that mean?
It's like where I got like a couple of the helmets that I took when I left Green Bay and a couple signed jerseys of guys that I played with, and it's up in there.
So it's more prominently displayed up there then.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it's up there.
Allegedly.
It's not alleged. It's there.
It's in like a dresser drawer, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Behind the helmets.
No. When we moved, Abby took all the awards in one box, and she took them out, and then she places them all in the spots that she believes they go. So that's just where it's at.
You know what? He's just a good husband. He just listens.
That's where it goes. Listen, I do not decorate. That's not what I do. That's not my...
For some reason, I believe you. Yeah, for some reason, I believe you.
I'm more curious about the helmets you took, that you described them that way as opposed to my helmets that I kept.
Again,
I
offensive
took 'em,
linemen
but
don't get respect, so he's got to take them.
Well, I paid for them. We'll just say that I paid for them on my way out. I was billed for those out of my paycheck. So, we'll just put it that way. They were not. I did not take. Well, I took them, yes, but then I was billed for them. On my last
so he did
check.
pay for
So,
them.
Yeah.
It is not. It is not thievery happening at 1265 Lombardi Avenue.
No.
We're clearing your name, Brian. We're clearing your name.
How many
Believe
years
me,
did you play there? And they wouldn't give you a lid? They
Right!
can't take it with you?
Yes! Exactly!
No, sir. You want your game jersey? That's direct. That's taken out of your check, my friend.
Crazy. We continue to preview Packers-Eagles coming up next. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Jason Wilde, and the Super Bowl champion, Bryan Bulaga. Yes, we will attempt at least to talk about the game coming up next. It's Green Bay Game Day.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Save big money now during Menards Bag Sale. All prices after 15% Bag Sale discount. Pick up a 6-pack of LED light bulbs for just $2.97. Get a wood or fiberglass claw hammer for only $2.29 each. 52-ounce bottles of Ajax dish soap, just $2.97. And 12 packs of Shasta soda in assorted flavors are only $4.19. Don't miss out on Menards Bag Sale happening now. Good through January 12th. See store for complete details.
Save big money at Menards.
One call, that's all. It's not just a slogan, but a way of life at Gruber Law Offices. If you've been injured, call our team today. We've represented tens of thousands of injured Wisconsinites for well over 30 years. Trust Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite game, Response in Wisconsin. Guess the most popular responses from Wisconsinites. Okay, here we go. What's your least favorite thing about winter in Wisconsin? Gina Della from Pella.
Let me guess. Frozen toes? Oh, I know. Driving alongside bumper cars every time it snows. And then scrambling to find someone to watch your kids because they're school clothes. Yeah! Let's face it, this is just the time of the year when we just want to all be warm and snuggly at home. And Pella helps make your home as beautiful on the outside as it is comfortable on the inside. With inviting doors to let friends and family in and beautiful energy-efficient windows to keep the cold out. Pella Windows and Doors is the best choice to make your home just right. Celebrate the new year with 0% interest for up to 3 years.
Thanks for playing Response in Wisconsin.
Hurry! You only have until January 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Do you want to have more fun watching the NFL playoffs? Try playing Sleeper Picks. Just download the Sleeper app today and pick more or less on at least 2 players' projected stats. You can win up to 100 times your cash. For a limited time, Sleeper has a special offer. New users have to just play $5 and they'll receive $55 in free entries. Just download the Sleeper app today and use code BRAD, B-R-A-D. Must be 18 years or older. Promo code, location, and other restrictions apply. Minimum deposit $25. See terms of use for details. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-426-2537 for help.
Hey, this is ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta. Guys, let's talk about something important. You. Taking care of your health and appearance isn't just about looking good. It's about feeling strong, confident, and ready to take on the world. At Quintessa Aesthetic Center, they make it easy. With experts in advanced skincare, body contouring, and anti-aging treatments, Quintessa is here to help you stay sharp and at your best. Trust me, when you look good, you feel even better. So why wait? Visit myquintessa.com and take the first step towards a more confident you.
You're listening to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just...
Green Bay Game Monday, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Super Bowl champion Bryan Bulaga, and the 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, Jason Wilde, hanging out with you ahead of Packers-Eagles coming up in about 2 hours from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. We are with you for just about 4 more minutes on 620 WTMJ and ESPN Madison ahead of Bucks-Knicks. So I would like to give Jason Wilde the opportunity to just kind of give us a pulse test. We started the Jason Wilde Hour by talking about award placement in the Bulaga household. So I would like to give Jason Wilde the opportunity to kind of give us where he's at ahead of Packers-Eagles.
Yeah, I'm in my basement. Look,
of course.
What bothers me is that it feels like during the course of the week, I was just talking about this with you and Craig Karmazin and Greg Scalzo on Sunday Karma, that like just because I, as someone who's been around the team all year, am not exuding like this brimming with confidence, it means that I think all hope is lost and they've got no chance today. And that is not what I'm saying. But, you know, what I got to go back to my Lutheran upbringing. Faith is defined as belief in things unseen. You better have some blind faith in this team being able to beat a good team on the road when it's win or go home. Because I don't have any evidence to give it to you, right? Like, I'm, you know, to keep with the biblical theme here,
okay.
I'm a doubting Thomas. And they haven't let me, you know, touch the nail holes in the hand. Like, I'm not convinced. I'm going pretty deep into my...
We're getting real deep. We're getting real deep.
Yeah. So my
Sunday
point
sermon.
is this. Here endeth the lesson. Look, can they win today? Absolutely. Absolutely they can. Right? But they have to do some things that either they didn't do against the Eagles the first time, or they have to do some things against a good team that they haven't done against the other good teams they've played, right? They got to get out to a lead. They got to start strong. They can't let Saquon Barkley run through them like a hot knife through butter. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in the first game, let's not forget. He had a catch, and he had 2 runs. Now, are things different now? Edger and Cooper, I would like to think, will not line up in the wrong gap, which caused one of those touchdowns. And they had to take him off the field in that game. But, you know, Jordan Love is going to have to make some big-time throws. All 5 of us on this panel have seen him make big-time throws. But it's kind of been a while. It's been a few weeks, right? Josh Jacobs is going to have to continue to do what he's been doing. They're going to have to get some takeaways from a team that has turned opponents over, but has not turned the ball over a ton themselves. So there's a lot of pieces here, but the 2 things that I am maybe hanging my Celtic hat on, one, I don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to look like today, both in terms of rustiness throwing the football and how willing he's going to be to run after the concussion, which I went back and looked at that play. I don't know if you guys looked at it lately. It looks like a total innocuous play. This is not, you know, a quarterback getting ear-holed by a tackler. Like, it's the end of a run, and he falls down and hits his head on the turf in Washington. And he was staying in the game, and it was the spotter that pulled him out. So for him to then not play again for 21 days with that kind of a concussion, how rusty is he going to be, and how willing is he going to be to run the football? That's one. And then the other thing that we talked about during the week, Strouf, I know you and I did, is, look, there's no pressure on the Packers. Yeah, is there expectation? Sure. Do they want to win? Absolutely. But it's the Eagles whose coach, I'm not convinced that if he loses this game, he won't get fired.
Yeah, Rob said the same thing when we talked to him a little bit earlier, Jason. Just real quick, want to say farewell to our audience on 620 WTMJ and 100.5 ESPN Madison. Green Bay Game Day continues right now on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee and on YouTube. Bucks-Knicks up next on ESPN Madison and WTMJ.
So I agree with you in principle, Jason, that the Packers should be able to be free and loose. And I asked Bryan about this in hour 1. Okay, yeah, there's no pressure on the Packers, but does Matt LaFleur know that? Because it seems like he's put a lot of pressure on them in the second half of the season in the big-time matchups they had, whether it was Detroit, whether it was Minnesota. So can Matt LaFleur coach like that, like he's got nothing to lose, maybe pull out a trick play like we just saw a fake punt in the first half of the Broncos-Bills game? Is he going to be able to be free and loose?
I'm really glad you brought that up, Gabe, because I talked to him for a while on Friday for this story, but then also during the media access period at practice. And I know there were some snarky people on Twitter. I know that surprises you that there'd be snarky people there. But like LaFleur was yucking it up with Domofsky and Huber and those guys before during stretching. I thought his mood on Friday in our press conference, which again is not necessarily evidence of anything, but he seemed way looser this week than he did. Remember when I told you that I felt like he was puckering going into that Vikings game?
Yeah.
And I thought they played that way, frankly, especially early, right? So I got the sense, and again, this is just my gut feeling, and he loves to say he goes with his gut. My gut tells me that he said, you know what? I can't coach like this. We're not going to win if I'm tight. So I think he, I think he was probably pretty, intentional about, hey, I got to loosen up a little bit because it's adversely affecting my team. That was the vibe I got. Now, if they fall behind 21-3, I'm guessing that won't be the vibe. But I do think that this week he took a different tack than he had to some of those other big games when it was very noticeable that he was feeling the pressure.
Interesting.
So
That's a really interesting.
I
go
got
ahead.
a question, Jason. So in my time with him, and I would imagine it was the case in 2020, 2021, when it was a veteran team, that guy was about as loose as he could get every single week. I mean, I didn't see that guy stressed out one single week. He was never uptight. He was never worried. And to me, that when I hear him being like that, that makes me think he thinks in his mind, if I seem loose and I seem relaxed and I seem like everything's okay, my young football team's going to behave that way too, and they're not going to be alert. So it's almost like he needs to find that happy medium between the two that makes the team, play loose, play relaxed, but also that they don't get this false sense of, security that everything's fine. We're good. We can have a bad practice, or we can have an off day or something like that. So like, that's what, so I understand like kind of, both sides of the fence here with how he is, but like, it is hard for him. Like I would imagine, because like I've never seen that side of him when I was at least there, right? Like I don't know, like when I hear him being like uptight, like I don't know what that looks like, because I never experienced that when I was there with him, like because of the veteran team that we had, and he didn't really have to worry about that. Like that was, the veteran guys took care of it. He had in every position essentially guys that, hey, they'll take care of it. They'll figure it out. They got it. And then that's what it was. And I'm not saying that's not the case right now, but it's certainly a different roster with where guys are right now on it.
No, look, this is why we're so lucky to have you. And I know you get sick of me telling you this, but this is exactly right, because the juxtaposition you just delivered explains the whole thing, right? Like when you have veteran guys who've been there, done that, you aren't nervous to go kick Sean McVay's ass in a first-round playoff game, because you know that your guys aren't good. The moment's not going to be too big for them. Now, did they go to one of the narratives that I heard all week was that what they did in Dallas last year doesn't really matter. And I don't know if that's coming from the coach, because if I was the coach and I got there's a stat right now, I don't know if you guys saw this, the youngest team to win a playoff game or to reach the playoffs, they're the second youngest this year, second only to last year's Packers. So if he's nervous about that, like I would have played up. Hey, look, what you guys did in Dallas, that doesn't count in today's game. But I'll tell you what it does do. It proves that you guys can do this. And you should have no doubt about what you can do going into a hostile environment against the number 2 seeded team. and we can go in there and kick their ass, because that's what we did last year. But we got to work to do it. Like, you can't rest on that laurel. But I agree. Like, I think he worries. And look, this is the flip side of all the praise we have for Goody, assembling a great bevy of young talent. He believes it's a young man's game, and he was proven right last year. He talked about how valuable it was for them to go through all those growing pains early and then come out the other side. He's right about that too. But there is something to be said for NFL experience, particularly in the postseason. And as much as I love Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, one of them played one playoff game for the Raiders, and one of them played two for the Giants because they won one against the Vikings. That's it. So it's not like you've got a roster full of guys that have played in NFC championship games like you had, right? And so if he does get nervous, I'm sure that is part of the equation.
That was really good stuff from Bryan Bulaga and Jason Wilde here on Green Bay Game Day. Terrific insight. I mean, and as you were talking there, Jason and Bryan, I was thinking, who is the most experienced member on the Packers? Is it McManus in terms of postseason play?
Or Kenny.
Kenny?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's incredible how young they are. I mean, obviously we knew that, being the youngest team in the NFL again this year, but the postseason inexperience, but some could view that as a superpower, right? Like almost you don't know what you don't know type thing. You're walking in just hungry and excited for the opportunity like they did a year ago in Dallas. Like that's almost the way you could spin it, I guess. But it's wild, the lack of postseason experience this team has.
Yeah, I mean, there's always two sides of the coin, right? Like, I truly feel that way. Like, it is a positive for them, which they showed last year, right? Like, they played really well in Dallas, and for 3/4 of that San Francisco game, they played really well too, right? And they fell short, and I mean, it's well documented. But Jason said it. Like, there's something to be, and I'm not saying that the team needs to be just filled with veteran players, but there's something to be said about having, some veteran players in certain roles around, the team. And that's where you pull that experience from. Like, I always looked at it from, as being a younger guy when I would have like the Sittons and the Langs and
Sure.
when I was a rookie, I'd have the Tauscher and the Clifton and the Scott Wells and Darren College, and then I'd look outside and I would see, Greg Jennings. Like, you just had all these guys that you would look up to, and that to me, that's veterans, right? And I'm a young guy, like, so like that's what I mean by that. Like, it's not like, they were old by any. I mean, I guess Cliffy was in his 10th or whatever year, but like Greg Jennings wasn't old, Scott Wells wasn't old, but like they were veteran players, and that's kind of where I'm getting at with it. It's not like you got to be playing for your 15th year, but it's just from what they've experienced and how many games they played in the playoff scenarios that they've already been in up to that point. And you draw confidence from that as a young guy, right? They've been there, they've done that, they've experienced that. And they kind of know. Like, I remember we won that Philly game, and I was sitting on the bench next to Cliffy, and Cliffy looked at me and said, he goes, "Enjoy this, Big Blue. This thing don't happen like this all that often, so enjoy this." And like, as a young guy, you're going, well, I got to take him for what it's worth, because like I have no idea. So like, it's just those small things that you take from veterans that you just have to appreciate. And like that's the only thing that I think I'm getting at with having a little veteran leadership to pull from.
Sure, absolutely. John Anderson, final word on this.
I think it's a huge thing, right? Because otherwise, say, Dan Marino's going to go to a bunch of Super Bowls, not just the one in his second. But the sport is littered with those kind of things. I go back to thinking I was lucky. I ran for a bunch of good coaches when I was at the University of Missouri, even though I wasn't good. They were great. But one of them used to always say to us before, he goes, "Listen, you work hard, but you try easy." And so hopefully they've worked hard all week, and now you come out, and on Sunday is when you try easy, because otherwise you get tensed up, which is why he also used to say, "Be loose as a goose and twice as shifty," which I have no idea what that means, but I try to do that every day of my life, to be loose as a goose, But the other one he used to always say to us that I thought was really telling was, you can't do it until you've done it. And that was like we can't inject you with this. You at some point have to take the responsibility of yourself and do this. You can't do it. So I can be loose. I can do this. I can get you prepared the best way I know how, but you can't do it until you do it. And all these things sound like maybe he came up with them while he was whittling in one of those Adirondack chairs over at a Cracker Barrel. But really, they make so much sense to what they're doing, that's what it's going to take here. And that's why I'm with, like you see LaFleur and you think, how is it before you did seem kind of happy-go-lucky on these things? And maybe it was, you know what? I got a whole play sheet over here that just says Aaron Rodgers, and we'll let him do whatever the hell he's going to do and get out of that. And he can't hear. I'm not so sure, Jason, your thought. I'm not so sure if I was LaFleur, I wouldn't manage this game, even with Jordan Love, like Malik Willis is playing, right? I need Josh Jacobs to have more attempts than Jordan Love does. And I know we want him to be, just like we kind of said, Jordan Love, the thing he can't do is try to go out and I got to show everybody I'm a $50 million quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think LaFleur has to be like that too. I don't think he can go, well, God, the guy is making it. We got to get him some pass attempts. No, if you can win the game on 9 attempts, good, do that. And then some of that goes to the patience. But I don't know how you feel about that, Jason. But I honestly, I'd run this just like I have Malik Willis running the offense today, and we'll see how that goes.
So here's the fine line he has to walk, and I can see Gabe over there stroking his beard and itching to say something, because we talked earlier in the week about how their offense clicked last year when Matt LaFleur said Jordan's got to let it rip, and then I talked to him and said, and again, I take full responsibility and credit for all the success of the second half of last season.
As you should.
I was the one that confronted LaFleur on this. But I said, if you're going to ask your quarterback to let it rip, doesn't his play caller have to let him let it rip by letting it rip yourself as the play caller? And you can't just call a bunch of Mickey Mouse checkdowns and screens, and let him be the guy that you're saying you believe in. So here's the challenge. I kind of feel like I have Gabe on one shoulder and then John Anderson on the other, although I'm still mad at John Anderson because he had this bobblehead that I've been searching for months on end, and he threw them away.
I told you I had it.
To find him at a Goodwill. Be that as it may.
I told you I had
him. Of him, by the way. It's not like it's of Giannis. It's of John Anderson. Anyway, but I feel like I've got both of you on my shoulders because I think both of you are right? John's right. They got to run the football.
Yep.
Even if the Eagles come in and say, we're not letting Josh Jacobs beat us. And on the other side, Jordan Love's got to make some plays. He's got to, or they're going to get beat 34-12. So somewhere, and this is why Matt LaFleur gets paid $8 million a year or whatever he gets paid, is to ignore you two knuckleheads and come up with the right game plan that does both. And if he can do that, I believe they can win this game today. But I think it's going to be really hard, and not that you can't play perfect. It is an imperfect game. Bryan can tell you that till the cows come home. But they cannot make more than one or two, even, I don't want to say minor mistakes. They cannot make cataclysmic mistakes. They cannot have Jordan Love being tackled and throwing an underhand pass and throwing it right to a defender, to Jacoby Dean, to return for a touchdown, right? They can't have him. But he has to find, because great, he hasn't thrown us in an interception since the Chicago game, I think, in November.
In November,
yes.
Yeah.
Great, but great. But if he has altered his style of play to try and avoid that, and he's made fewer wild throws as a result, I thought he made some wild throws in Detroit. There's no two ways about that. But if he's got to be able to not turn the ball over and make some magical plays if they're going to win today.
No doubt about that. Well said by Jason Wilde. Fun listen now here on Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Hey, Gabe, you know what's coming up next?
Are we going to do it? Playoff edition?
We're going to do it. The playoff edition. John Anderson has already walked away from his desk. He's already gone.
That's because he just needs to go mentally prepared because he's really excited.
He's really excited.
He's very excited.
Nobody's more excited for this than John Anderson. I never thought Jason Wilde's excitement for this segment would be topped, but it's been topped this year by John Anderson. The playoff edition of Yes or No is next on Green Bay Game Day.
We're back with Green Bay Game Day after this on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Who's looking for a deal? Well, Cousin Subs has a better deal just for you. Cousin's new $10 meal deals are now available online only. Choose between a 7.5-inch ham and provolone, turkey breast, or veggie sub, a bag of chips or regular fry, a regular fountain beverage, and cookie at cousinsubs.com or on the mobile app for just $10. Now that's a better deal. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. Available at participating locations only. Offer subject to change without notice.
Now's the time to plan your total experience getaway to the Island Resort and Casino. With over 450 hotel rooms and a luxurious spa, relax in style before diving into non-stop casino action. Watch your favorite teams on the big screens and enjoy great food and drinks at T. McSee's Sports Bar, or savor top-tier dining at Horizon Steakhouse. Then amp up your night with live music and comedy. Head where the big game, big wins, and big fun come together. The Island Resort and Casino.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey. Riding with you every mile since 1977.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Injuries happen, but you don't have to play in pain or stay on the sidelines. Whether it's your kids dealing with a sports injury, college athletes, or the rest of us weekend warriors, the experts at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin will quickly diagnose your problem, lay out a treatment plan that works for you, and get you back in the game. They fixed my knee. My mother-in-law is back on the dance floor with a new hip. These are the experts you can trust. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, Marcus and Chris are joined by MJ's former teammate, Dr. Lloyd Walton. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
This message is sponsored by WisCaregiver.com. People across Wisconsin are enjoying the rewards, stability, and flexibility of a career in healthcare. Why not you? WisCaregiver.com gets you started. Choose between 2 great options. Become a CDCP, Certified Direct Care Professional, or a CNA, Certified Nurse Aide. Training is free, plus earn a $500 bonus. It's easy to start your new career. Learn more at WisCaregiver.com.
Panic strikes as you realize on Wednesday that Thursday is your anniversary. The reservations being secured.
We'll see you at 8.
The gift being purchased. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay up to 2 days early on direct deposits. So even though they call you Last Minute Lisa, we'll make your last minute scrambling a bit easier. You've got this with early pay from Associated Bank. See AssociatedBank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
My night runs into morning all the time.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason, distilled 6 times till it's just right. Tito's, known for great vodka, giving back, and doing good for dogs. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly. It's Green Bay Game Day presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Super Bowl champion Bryan Bulaga, and Jason Wilde hanging out with you here on Green Bay Game Day. It is the playoff edition. It is America's favorite game, specifically John Anderson's favorite game, despite what state or city or time zone he is currently in. It is time for Yes or No with Jason Wilde.
Will today be the day there are black and white answers from our most respected journalist?
Possibly. I think we shouldn't be greedy. Maybe. You would certainly hope so.
It's time for Yes or No with Jason Wilde.
And because John Anderson is such a big fan of this segment, I actually want to start with him for question number one. I want John to answer this one first, despite the game being called Yes or No with Jason Wilde. Yes. What's wrong, Jason? Are you offended?
Okay. He should be.
Nope.
Yeah, you disrespected him.
Let this guy handle everything.
Pulls out the John Anderson bobblehead. Is that what that is?
It is 14. That was from the Green Bay City champion, Babe Ruth City champs.
Had a boy.
Yeah, I had to buy that one too. Yep.
There we go. Love it. All right, let's start here, John. Yes or no? Last year's wild card win in Dallas matters for the Green Bay Packers today.
Like how much? Like all of it or some of it? I guess there's a few guys that have good vibes from it, but no, like they don't get any points for that. No, I'm very much in the that if they can draw on that yes, we can go in and win anywhere, fantastic. But in terms of actual thing, I mean, it's not anything you can quantify.
Sure,
if it does, but not,
I think there's a little bit of that. Now, I must point out, I think that is the first time I've ever seen Jason's reaction to a question in the segment that he actually liked. So, Jason.
No, I didn't like it at all. No, he answered no. What are you doing? The whole point of the segment is to
it could. No, it totally could. There could be some decent vibes on it, but I don't know that it is or not. There's no to each his own. It might on some guys it might mean nothing. No, there's no, like I said, there's no way to quantify.
There's a little bit of a hedge there.
Any effect. There's no way to quantify if that has anything.
So let's not start with John anymore. It's my segment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, you're claiming this segment now?
Wow.
You've been running from it for years, and now you want to claim it?
The imaging.
Yeah, but you've never claimed it before.
Well, it's not my idea. I'm definitely not claiming the idea. The idea is terrible. But my point is that I think John, buried within his no answer, which was so disappointing to me, is the truth, which is it is going to mean something to some of these guys. And I think as we worked our way through the locker room during the week, for some of them, Jordan Love basically said it doesn't matter. And I would have said, okay, if that's your mentality, I get it. But it is proof. I always talk about this. You guys have heard me say this. All these guys have confidence, right? We all have confidence about our own jobs. But it sure is nice to have confirmation of that confidence is properly placed.
Right, evidence, right.
Like Bryan Bulaga was a great right tackle for the Green Bay Packers. Now, are there jerks that occasionally bring up the games when he wasn't great? Yes, there are. I don't know why anybody would do that, but they do.
I don't even know what games those would be.
Yeah, I don't either. I would never do such a thing. But my point is that when he was rolling, right? When you were coming back from your ACL, for example, you felt confidence. I'd worked my ass off to get back to being on the field. But you wanted those performances that would then solidify, you know what? My confidence in me being me again is well placed. And to me, Dallas gave these guys a lot of young guys, the Jaden Reeds, the Dontavion Wickses, the Tucker Crafts, the Jordan Loves. Hey, we can do this when it's win or go home. So I'll be honest, the correct answer is yes and no, but I'm surprised that it's not yes, because I really thought it was odd the way guys were basically poo-pooing what they did last year. To me, that's an important building block, because by the way, you could argue that's the last time they beat a good team. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it.
Wow.
But
I haven't thought about it that way. Yeah, I mean, the Houston win looks a little bit better today than it did yesterday after they win a playoff game last night. But I think you're making a really good point there. Let's go to Bryan Bulaga, and then we'll go to Gabe before our next question. Bryan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is like a yes and a no, because I think Jason hit it. Like, you draw on it from a confidence standpoint. Like, you can pull on it from a memory and like what you did and what you had to do to go to Dallas and get a win. And it's very similar this year. Totally different opponent, totally different circumstance of what type of situation you're going into and your opponent and what they do well and what you're going to have to do to get a win. But just from a confidence standpoint, you can draw from that. And a lot of the same guys are there that went to Dallas last year and got it done. So it is yes and no, because John also hit on it. Like, you're not getting anything from like, that doesn't carry over here, right? So, like, it's both sides of the coin. So I'm also yes and no. I know it's a terrible answer, but
no, it's a perfect answer. It's a perfect
answer for this segment.
It's a perfect answer, and that's where I agree with everyone. Yes, you should be able to draw on it. Like, remember how you felt, remember how you navigated those feelings. But at the same time, this team was playing drastically different football going into the postseason a year ago. They had won 3 games in a row. They beat the Chicago Bears, and I heard Wildy point out earlier on Sunday Karma that Jordan Love threw for over 300 yards in that game. He hasn't thrown for 300 yards this year since the Vikings game, and not the last one. The first one when he came back from injury, when it was sunny and nice out in Green Bay.
September 28th.
In September. So, like, they're not playing that same way, so they're going to have to me, try to draw on something else to then get that confidence that they can get this offense rolling and moving in the right direction. I think you can draw on some of it, you just can't draw on all of it.
I love it. Actually, I think that means I succeeded in writing that first question today. We got yeses and nos. John initially said no. I asked Jason if he was offended I didn't start with him. He said no. We're gaining ground here. We're doing well. Question 2. Yes,
no, we're not.
Well done.
You are really blowing yourself up over nothing, but good for you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your support as always, brother.
He's a defensive back who's going incomplete on an overthrow.
Yep, correct. And I will take my wins when I can get them.
Shaking his finger in the air.
I got a little Eric Stokes in me. What can I say? Jason, we'll start with you on this one. Gabe asked this question verbatim to Rob Domofsky earlier, which impressed me because I wrote these ahead of time. Yes or no? Jordan Love has to be the best player on the field today if the Packers are going to win.
I think it would be great if he was. I think he has to be a better version of himself than he has been. And if that turns out to be the best player on the field and the best quarterback on the field, then they're going to win the game. Mm-hmm. I just and look, I have to be honest. I have a blind spot that at no point this season did I think this guy's making $55 million a year, and he's not playing like a $55 million player. I never thought that, because I looked at that contract, and you look at the other guys that got numbers similar, and I looked at that as the cost of doing business in today's NFL, and not necessarily indicative that this guy's as good as the best quarterback in the league, or good enough to be paid that. That's just what you're paying right now. Could he someday be that good? I still very much believe that, but he has had the kind of season that, again, the three of us, without Bryan and John, talked about at Summerfest of defensive coordinators having 19 games of film on him and him trying to navigate the pressures of his contract, the pressures of expectation, I'm a second-year guy now, I'm going to try and do some stuff that I haven't done before. I'm not just going to paint by numbers. I'm going to be Bob Ross. All those things. So he was good, but he wasn't like, oh my God, this guy should be in the MVP conversation, which I know certain people were expecting him to be this year. So he has to play, you and Tausch, Strouf.
Yeah.
So he has to play at a much higher level than he has. And that goes back to the point that John made earlier in the show. They're not going to play a game plan as if Malik Willis is playing quarterback. He is going to have to make some big boy throws in some big boy moments. And if he does it, he's going to give them a chance to win. And if he doesn't, their season is over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all said. John Anderson, does he have to be the best player on the field today? The Packers are going to win?
Well, First off, there's been too many happy little accidents for him this season, which is,
Well done. Well done.
If we're gonna go extend out that thing, does he have? No, he just has to be great. Now, if his great is the best player on the field, that could be, or it could be Josh Jacobs. He needs to be great today. And as we said with Rob, that doesn't mean it's got to be 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. It just means he's got to be right. Great can be a lot of different things.
Sure can be.
You can be great on 14 throws and have 100 yards because 10 of those are on third down conversions. So he has to be great. I don't know that he has to be the best player on the field or if that translates to being the best player on the field. There he is. Love him.
There's Bob Ross. The Bob Ross bobblehead making an appearance in Casa de Wilde.
So, yeah, I don't think that's an unbelievable answer. At some point, I think I probably had that much hair as a youngster. We've calmed them all down over the years when it comes through. But yeah, so I would say, sure, maybe, but it didn't have to be. He just has to be great. I don't know where that translates on the hierarchy of, are you the best player on the field?
You could have made the debate last year in the Cowboys game, if that's what we're going to talk about. Was he the best player on the field, or was it Aaron Jones, who scored 3 touchdowns and had over 100 yards? That was a great debate that you could have had en route to a division, a wild card
I guess
win
at the very least,
Dallas.
he was obviously in the conversation.
But he was in the conversation, and that's where I think he has to be. This team was not good enough on third down this year. And to John's point, yeah, maybe he doesn't throw for 4 touchdowns. Maybe he has 0, but he has a bunch of really key and clutch third down conversions en route to a Packers victory. So yeah, he has to be great though. He's probably the other players are going to have to be great with him along the way, but he has to be great if the Packers are going to have a chance.
Final word on this, Bryan Bulaga.
I agree. Yeah, he's going to have to play really well today, and that's kind of what I've been saying from the start of this week, is that he's going to have to play at a really high level, because I think at the end of the day, that's where this game is going to be won eventually, is through the air. And he's going to have to get it done at some point throughout this game and play at a really high level. And whether that's, he's got to make, like John said, 14 throws, 24 throws, 34. I don't know what the number is going to be, but he's going to have to play at a high level to make sure if they're going to win this football game. And that's kind of the way I see it rolling.
That is the wild card edition of Yes or No with Jason Wilde, John Anderson, Bryan Bulaga, and Gabe Neitzel. I'm Alex Strouf with you here on Green Bay Game Day, which is presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Coming up next, we wrap up the Jason Wilde hour a few minutes after an hour eclipses, and we get the official injury report, which is presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. All still ahead. It's Green Bay Game Day with the ESPN Wisconsin.
Stay right here. Green Bay Game Day will be right back on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's, flavor is our family's business.
Life's better with American Family Insurance. Because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Save big money now during Menard's Bag Sale. All prices after 15% Bag Sale discount. Pick up a 6-pack of LED light bulbs for just $2.97. Get a wood or fiberglass claw hammer for only $2.29 each. 52-ounce bottles of Ajax dish soap, just $2.97. And 12 packs of Shasta soda in assorted flavors are only $4.19. Don't miss out on Menard's Bag Sale happening now. Good through January 12th. See store for complete details.
Save big money at Menards.
Look what I found.
What is it?
It's a list of the traditional and modern anniversary gifts for each year of marriage.
Sarah and I use a different list. But go ahead and tell us about yours.
The traditional gift for your first anniversary is paper, but the modern gift is a clock.
Well, our list says the first anniversary is always diamond jewelry.
What's your list called?
The People's Choice.
The traditional gift for your 6th anniversary is iron, but the modern gift is wood.
What a coincidence. For the 6th anniversary, our list says diamonds again. What do you have for the 10th anniversary, Rick?
Traditional is aluminum, modern is diamond jewelry.
Well, there you go. Our lists agree. What have you got for the 7th anniversary?
Copper and a desk set.
Nope. Diamonds again.
I'm beginning to see the wisdom of the People's Choice list.
It's good to have you on board.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Did you make up that People's Choice list, or is it real?
Well, we're people, aren't we?
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And it is playoff time, now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Prize Picks, the best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the app today. Use code WI. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code WI to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Whether you are a local who wants to enjoy a night out or you're planning to visit our great city of Milwaukee, enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel. Hey, maybe you got friends coming in from out of town. St. Kate the Arts Hotel is ideally located in the heart of the theater district in downtown Milwaukee with deluxe accommodations, culinary creativity, on-site art galleries, and nightly live music. You and your friends will enjoy every element of your stay at St. Kate. Learn more and book your stay at stkatearts.com. That's stkatearts.com.
Welcome back to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Playoff time, baby. Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Wild card weekend. It's the 7th-seeded Packers, the 2nd-seeded Philadelphia Eagles out at Lincoln Financial Field in Philly. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel, John Anderson, Super Bowl champion Bryan Bulaga with you. And for just a few more minutes, 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, co-host of Wilde and Tausch, Jason Wilde, hanging out with us. We are awaiting the official injury report, which is presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Visit orthowisconsin.com today for info. Still hasn't been released, though, which makes us think maybe kick is actually at 3:35, but that still means it should have come out 2 minutes ago. I'm very confused, Gabriel.
Yeah, so when it comes out, it comes out. But, Jason, how big would a return of Quay Walker be? Is he, even because he's dealing with an ankle injury, would he still be the green dot? Would he be full-time in there? Would he just rotate in? Because, again, ankles, especially for a linebacker where you need that agility to be able to react to somebody like Saquon Barkley at or near the line of scrimmage, obviously is going to be huge. Would he play his full complement of snaps if he ends up being active?
Those are all outstanding questions, and the reason why I was so eager to see what the injury report or the inactives looked like was for that exact reason. It's him and Evan Williams, right, that I'm most interested in, right? Mm-hmm. And look, and everyone's different, right? Some guys can jump 7 feet 2 inches. Others of us can barely jump 7 inches 2.5 inches. Like, everyone's different. And so when I say this, I don't want to say that Quay Walker isn't going to come back and play well. But what I think we've seen, or Evan Williams for that matter, Brian's smarter than me on this, but we saw Devontae Wyatt, who looked at times in the first 3 games of the season like he was unblockable. Then he hurt his ankle, and I know he came on a little bit late in the regular season, but then he was like a ghost. Right? Like, he was a non-factor. And so what does Quay Walker, if he is active, look like today? Evan Williams, Jeff Hafley is probably Xavier McKinney's number one fan, but he loves Evan Williams almost as much because Evan Williams is such a smart football player. He could not say enough about what he allows him then to do with Xavier McKinney on top of it, as opposed to, and look, Zane Anderson played well in his place. Katan Oladapo played pretty well for a guy who hadn't played defense all year, but Evan Williams is different. So if Evan Williams can move the way they want him to be able to move, I think that's a big thing. But Quay Walker, they gave the green dot last week to Isaiah McDuffie. That was a change. So, I don't know if he's going to be like Devontae Wyatt was when he came back from his ankle injury, then I'm not sure that they're necessarily better off having him active or not.
I will say this as we await the official injury report. Evan Williams and Quay Walker both practiced 3 days in a row this week, and the Packers making the only acquisition yesterday was signing Sean Clifford, the third-string quarterback, to the active roster. So it seems like those guys will likely be good to go, but we wait official confirmation on that.
I've got the inactives.
Hit me.
Inactive for the Green Bay Packers include tight end Ben Sims, tackle Andre Dillard, safety Zane Anderson, wide receiver Christian Watson, quarterback Sean Clifford, who does get the emergency third quarterback designation. That's it. That's the list.
That means Quay Walker, Evan Williams, TJ Slayton, Brenton Cox Jr. all active for the Packers today against the Philadelphia Eagles. Jason, I think this might become the word of the day for Jeff Hafley. Aggressive. I feel like this is one of the first games we have. Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, Quay Walker all playing together. Edrin Cooper as well on that defense. Aggressiveness going to be the MO, I imagine, for the defensive coordinator today.
Well, and he admitted to us on Thursday that what they did against Jalen Hurts the first time didn't work, that they can't do the same thing. And so I think you're right. Now, again, I would caution, and Blue, I'll defer to you on this. It's great that all those guys are active. That is way better news than them all being inactive. No doubt about it. But now we get to see, what is TJ Slayton able to do as a run-stopping defensive tackle against Saquon Barkley with a bum ankle? What is Quay Walker able to do against Saquon Barkley or in coverage against Dallas Goedert? Now they're active. Now how are they going to play?
Very interesting.
Ankle injuries are tough, right? And the severity differs high. When you're out that long, it's high ankle sprain. I had a high ankle sprain in 2017, and it ended resulting in a, knock on wood for these guys, but a torn ACL for me because my foot stayed numb. And eventually my foot was in a bad position, couldn't feel where it was. Well, it ended up being in a position where my knee was compromised and I blew my knee out. Well, I'm not saying these guys are in that position, but they're hard to judge how healthy it is, how well they can move, and all that. So I don't know where these guys are at, right? No one really knows. They know. They feel like they're healthy enough to play. So they're out there, right? They're doing it. So we can only assume they're as close to 100% as they feel like they can get. And what that looks like, we're about to find out. But for Quay Walker, he's going to need to be really good to be playing inside that box and with Saquon, running downhill. Because if you're not 100% or close to 100% on that ankle, he's going to make you look a certain type of way, and you're going to be a liability. So and Green Bay cannot have that in the box. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out early, and Quay's snap count, right? That'll be interesting to see how they deploy him early on in the game, and who has the green dot. Is it McDuffie? Is it Quay? Who's doing it? It'll be very interesting to see.
I think real quick, isn't it? It's important for the entire linebacker crew, because against that offensive line, if the defensive line can just keep them occupied, and then it's all on your guys in that second level to run to the ball. So whether it's Walker or McDuffie or Cooper, all those guys, because sometimes we go, wow, the defensive line didn't get any pressure. No, but you know what? If they can take up and occupy all those blockers and at least keep the linebackers clean, then they've done their job, even though it's not one of those that shows up on the stat sheet.
Yep, 100%. That's the job of the D line today. Literally take two. They need to take two. They need to buy two linemen at all times. And if they don't do that, and they allow the guards and centers on double teams to climb, that's what makes for a long day. So Kenny, Slayton, all these guys need to not hold, because they'll get flagged for that. They're calling that these days, but they need to do such a good job at get off, where this is Hafley's defense, where those first three steps are so hard upfield that it's causing both linemen to hang on that double team long enough that linebackers are able to run free. So it's going to be important for these D linemen to get the job done today.
All right, we're about 15 minutes past the end of the Jason Wilde hour, and Jason Wilde is still here. I also love it, John. I'm glad he's still hanging with us and doesn't need to rush away, but I will give him the final word ahead of Packers-Eagles in the Jason Wilde hour. Jason, is this going to be our last conversation on Green Bay Game Day this year, or will we have another one next week?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. This was the best Jason Wilde hour of the season, largely because Brian Bulaga and John Anderson did most of the heavy lifting. Sorry, Gabe. Look, again, if this is the last one of the season, I will put this group up against anybody in the league who previews games. And I am really, really proud that I'm on the panel. I don't know why I get an entire hour to myself. I like the fact that everyone else chimes in, so it's not all about me, because that's not really my strength. But this was such a great year. Super fun in person, obviously, at the Tundra Trio. I see our truck is still there every time I drive to Lambeau.
There's a pretty big event. There's a pretty big event coming up in a few months that we might need the trailer for.
So you're just leaving it there for the draft? You're not taking it home in between?
Well, you act like I drive it. I drive a Ford Focus, Jason. I'm not pulling that trailer around.
Does anyone else have this image now?
Yep.
Yep. Behind the wheel of his tiny little Ford Focus and the big ESPN Milwaukee trailer hooked up behind it.
Yeah.
Fred Flintstone legs.
On I-43. So if we have another one next week to preview Packers, Lions, great. And I look forward to joining you guys again. If we don't, it's been an awesome year. We are lucky to have some of the best in the business on this team. I'm so glad that we added so much talent, and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm glad that I get to be a small part of it. So whatever happens today, I know I'll be talking to all you guys again, probably starting tomorrow again. But if this is the last show of the year, especially to you, John, and to Bryan, once upon a time, there were times when I was frustrated that we didn't realize how important content was, sometimes I felt. And now we have made such an incredible commitment to so much talent that I am incredibly proud to be your teammates. And so you guys, thank you for bringing everything you guys have brought to the table. I knew Gabe was sickly talented. That's why he's on national radio like 14 hours a day now. It feels like every time.
More than that, actually, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
And I always talk about what a rising star Strouf is. But you guys are our Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. And I'm
well said.
There you go.
Well said. Wow.
Well, thank you, Wilde.
Talk about a pregame speech from Jason Wilde. Who's ready to run through a brick wall now? That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it as always. We'll hopefully be talking to you next week at a Packers-Lions.
All right, guys. Take care. Be good.
The great Jason Wilde. Hear him after the game with Mark Tauscher, Homer, Gary Ellerson, breaking down all things Packers-Eagles. And, of course, tomorrow beginning at 9 a.m. on Wilde and Tausch. We've got another member of our cast, typically joined us for home games, who's going to join us for the final hour of the program. The former mayor of Oak Creek, the season ticket holder since 1983, Steve Scafidi, joins us for the final hour of Green Bay Game Day from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio. We'll play our Gruber Law Office's One Call. We'll look at our best bets from the Island Resort and Casino, and we will continue to preview this wild card matchup between the 7th-seeded Packers and the 2nd-seeded Eagles. All still ahead. It's Green Bay Game Day right here on ESPN Wisconsin.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Ready for a win? Well, it's your year. At Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee, you can win over $2,000 in free play every month all year long. Just play your favorite games and you might take the stage in the It's Your Year game show. 25 winners each Thursday. There's $300,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs this January. Yeah, we think it's your year. More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 years old to play.
Homer here. I'm inviting you to join me starting August the 9th as we explore the many shades of Ireland with Colette Vacations, a 10-day journey filled with legendary views, historic expeditions, and unforgettable tales. Explore the historic city of Dublin, kiss the famous Blarney Stone, and stand on the spectacular cliffs of Moher. We'll also journey Ireland's breathtaking countryside and follow the stunning coastal route of the Ring of Kerry. We'll experience the daily life of an Irish family with a dairy farm visit and enjoy a taste or two at a historic whiskey distillery. We'll even stay overnight in a medieval castle. Join me for all of the experiences and so many more. All the details are online at ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com. ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com. Don't worry about the planning. Colette handles all of the details of the 10-day excursion. Your job, have the time of your life. Don't miss it. Visit ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com or text Homer to 800-990-3776. The trip of a lifetime awaits.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Football season. Best time of the year and my favorite time of the year. This is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman. On game days, my favorite teammate is a cold carbless in my hand. Premium cocktails in a can made right here in the great state of Wisconsin. Maybe it's when I'm at the tailgate ahead of kickoff or getting ready at home for the game. Carbless is there. Zero sugar, zero carbs, and gluten-free. Carbless features classic cocktails like margarita, Paloma, and even Moscow Mule, and vodka cocktail flavors like cranberry, lemon, and peach. Find it on your next grocery trip. Carbless. Less is more.
Life's busy, and Quick Trip gets it. Whether you're grabbing fresh coffee, a bakery treat, or a quick meal, Quick Trip is your go-to for quality and fast service. From clean restrooms to fresh groceries, easy meal options, and guaranteed fuel, we make your day easier. Plus, enjoy perks like free ATMs, free air for your tires, and sweet rewards with the Quick Rewards program. Everything you need in one stop, and always a friendly, see you next time. Quick Trip, where your day gets easier and better.
Who's looking for a deal? Well, Cousin Subs has a better deal just for you. Cousin's new $10 meal deals are now available online only. Choose between a 7.5-inch ham and provolone, turkey breast, or veggie sub, a bag of chips or regular fry, a regular fountain beverage, and cookie at cousinsubs.com or on the mobile app for just $10. Now that's a better deal. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. Available at participating locations only. Offer subject to change without notice.
Marquette Hall of Famer Tony Smith here. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
Party people!
It's time to get this tailgate started and get you ready for the green and gold game. This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Now broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside Gabe Neitzel, ESPN legend John Anderson, and green and gold legend Bryan Bulaga. Here's Alex Strouf.
Away we go, an hour away from kickoff. Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel with you from the Gerber Law Office's One Call That's All studio, downtown Milwaukee. ESPN on Wipeout legend John Anderson. Somewhere in the country, behind him now, a Marquez Valdez-Scantling Saints jersey has made an appearance behind him at his son's apartment. So his son is a MVS superfan. This is now the third jersey that has appeared behind him. Bryan Bulaga, Super Bowl champion, with us as always as well. And now joining us from the Gerber Law Office's One Call That's All studio, the former mayor of Oak Creek, the host of the Political Power Hour on WTMJ, and the Packers season ticket holder since 1983.
Now you remember that.
I got it burned in my memory. Steve Scafidi with us here.
This is like rarefied air. Bulaga, who I enjoyed talking to last year. I haven't talked to him this year, I don't think. Anderson, are you kidding me? High-level talent. You guys, Wildy loves you guys. Are you serious?
Yeah, did you hear that?
I work with you and I don't like you that much.
Yeah,
like
I understand. I understand.
What? No, you guys are great guys.
Good to have Scafidi here. How you feeling? About an hour away from kickoff. You feel good?
I said this yesterday or the day before, whenever we're doing that thing that you do on YouTube.
Mr. Relevant is the name of that show. Thanks, Steve.
This is a game where I want him to play well. We'll see what happens, right? This is a young team, younger than last year. Keep throwing out that stat. 2 years in a row, youngest team. I don't know that you can just do that every year. You got to win. This is a game they could win. What's the chances? I don't know. Just play well. Show me something. You and I have said next year, year after, that's the sweet spot for this team.
Yep.
You get me a pass rusher. Find me a pass rusher. Some guy, he's going to tear up the quarterback. Find that guy. Find somebody that's healthy all the time at quarterback. We're in good position.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
That's it for Steve Scafidi. There you go.
I blew it all out in the first 2 minutes.
Now, offensively, I'm a little worried.
Okay.
Slow starts the last few weeks.
I have been waiting to ask Bryan Bulaga this question because it's going to be a nerdy football question. So just kind of bear with us. Because, Bryan, when I think of the Matt LaFleur, McVay, Shanahan offense, when you're running that type of offense, one of the bread and butter plays has always been play action off the stretch run. You end up rolling out to the flat. Tight end comes from the backside, and he's right there with you. You dump it off easy 12, 14 yards. I don't know if I've seen the Packers run that once, and I assume that's because they're running a little bit of a different style with Josh Jacobs. So how come they haven't been able to get as much production out of the play action, even though Jacobs has had such a fantastic season?
Yeah, I mean, you essentially said it, because the style of run game that they've completely switched to, but the style of run game from the pure zone that McVay, Shanahan, and early LaFleur, when I first got there, that stretch zone, it's changed. And it's changed to more of a downhill duo or tight inside zone type blocking scheme. And when you have that type of scheme that you've changed to mentality-wise for up front and for the quarterback and things like that, you're in the gun a lot or you're in the pistol a lot, and that doesn't work from the play action standpoint of what you're referring to, the wide stretch, the booting out. It just doesn't. And what that also affects is the play action game from not the D-line perspective, but from the linebackers and safeties. Because the linebackers and safeties from the gun see that way better than when the quarterback's under center and he's running and stretching the football out and all the offensive linemen are working in unison, and it's kind of a mumbled mess up front, and the linebackers have to respect that. And with what Green Bay does so well with Jacobs is the duo scheme where there's a bunch of double teams and Jacobs kind of hops in and out of holes and then he finds the crease and goes. Well, with that, if you try to play action off of that, it fits in really well for the linebackers to not bite, because in that type of blocking scheme, you have to tell your linebackers to be patient. Because if the linebackers are impatient and they shoot a gap, that's how big runs happen, because now you've cut a linebacker out of a gap. He's declared where he's going. A lineman puts a body on him, and Jacobs takes the other gap, and he's gone. So you're essentially, telling these linebackers to be patient. They don't bite on run, which means that routes over the middle aren't coming open, and that's kind of where it's gone. So it's not that they've eliminated it from their scheme. They just don't really do that style of stretch zone as much as they did last year, right? With Aaron Jones. Like, it's just not as prevalent anymore. Like, yeah, they do inside zone and they do play action out of tight inside zone, but like, that's still not, you're not getting that same action out of it. When we were there year one, we ran heavy bootleg with Aaron all the time. Like, he was out of the pocket, moving the pocket and the launch point a bunch. I mean, last year they did it a bunch with Jordan Love. The year before that, they did a bunch with Aaron. So, like, it's just when you adjust your blocking style for a running back, you then have to mirror the play action game to that style of run. And that's what he's done, because you just can't throw a stretch zone play action out there and not run the run, because then no one's going to buy it. So it's not that he's like, oh, we're just cutting that out of the plan. It's just he likes to mirror the run with the play action, and that's what he's doing right now.
That was going to be my answer, by the way. He totally took my answer.
Hey, mine too. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I warned you. It's going to get football nerdy, but I was just really curious in the answer.
I wanted to bring out a sketch pad because I was going to start writing that down. Because I had to break it down for somebody else. That was like homework there.
I have a whiteboard back here. I was going to just put some things up.
Yeah, they call John Anderson the professor. It does not feel that way right now. It feels like I just learned so much about football in a matter of 4 minutes. Who offensively, without Christian Watson, needs to have a big game today, right? Because Jaden Reed has kind of disappeared the last couple of weeks. He just hasn't been. I don't know if he hasn't been as big of a part of the game plan. Obviously he's had some drops here down the stretch this season. It feels like he's the guy, in my eyes, that really needs to have a big game, like he did against Philadelphia in Week 1. If the Packers are going to give themselves a shot today with no Watson.
I think Romeo Doubs should be on that list as well. Romeo had 150 yards receiving. It's his only, I believe, 100-yard game he's had with Jordan Love in the playoffs last year against the Cowboys. He's the one that clearly has the trust of Jordan Love. They need to find ways to get him open, and I think he needs to have a decent game as well if the Packers' pass offense is going to have any sort of success because of the trust that Love has in him.
I say Jacobs because, as we saw in Week 1, Saquon, 3 touchdowns. That's the kind of game we need from Jacobs this week. He can do it. He's certainly done it throughout the season. I love his energy. I love the way he thinks about football from his perspective. Is I'll carry the load. Put it on me. I'm good. If he has that type of game, it's Jacobs. Obviously, somebody from that stable of receivers, we've talked all season about how great this group is. Mm-hmm. Someone has to step up, whether it's Dobbs, whether it's Jaden Reed. He blew him away in Week 1. Yeah. You got to see that stuff. And then, of course, Jordan Love's got to be Jordan Love. Last year's Jordan Love. Although he was still, everybody's complaining about Jordan Love, still better than like 2/3 of the quarterbacks.
Yes, correct.
Come on, let's have some balance.
The expectations for Packers fans are awfully high. And as a season ticket holder since 1983, you know quarterback play heavily scrutinized. John, anybody popped in mind where you go, yeah, they've got to step up without Watson?
Well, as a season ticket holder from about 1977,
he's got to be. Got to be.
Damn.
I would tell you. Listen, I think because Watson did, even just running down the field, the guy did. He held safeties and he made the defense do things to respond to him. I think Kraft is a guy then that should just go nuts, because I don't think you're ever going to commit 2 people to him. But if you do, now you've helped out the wide receivers. And so then he's going to have one guy on him the whole time. And he's linebacker. I think he can beat people. I think he's good. I would pump it to him 50 times, right? Here, I'm going to take all of it to Jacobs, and then every pass I'm going to throw to Tucker Kraft because he'll be open until somebody moves off that, and then I'll go find the other guys.
Interesting. Bryan, I'm curious from your perspective, on that question, but also a guy like Bo Melton has been talked a lot about this week because he is really speedy. Is it just as easy as plugging him in and expecting big things from him despite not having a huge year?
Yeah, well, with him, you're going to have to, whether it's decoy or whatever, you're going to have to, at least early on, stretch the field with him and throw the football deep to him to show the Eagles that you are willing to try to take the top off of their defense. Because the way that Fangio's defense is with that cover 3 and what they like to do in umbrella offenses, they don't want to give up anything deep. And their mentality is Watson's gone. They don't have anyone that can threaten us deep. So you feel like you do with Melton. He's fast. You're going to have to threaten them some way to get them to think that those safeties have to push back a little bit more. They can't keep creeping up, closer to the line of scrimmage. And once you get that, then you can start exposing the middle a little bit more. And that's where I'm with John. Like, that's where you get Kraft over the middle of the field. You can get Dobbs over the middle of the field. Those are your guys that work the middle third of the field. And if you can get those guys going early, once you stretch the field and get those safeties back a little bit, that's where you're going to find your success. But that's where Jordan Love, he's got to have the confidence to pull the trigger over the middle. And listen, it's going to be crowded, right? I mean, the linebackers for Philly are playing really good. So they're going to make things difficult in there. But also, I think Jacobs can have a huge day out of the backfield catching the football as well. It's not just rushing. I think he can play a big key in this thing, catching the ball out of the backfield and being in one-on-one situations. So, I think those three guys, Dobbs, Tucker Kraft, and Jacobs, have to play big, big roles. And not obviously different scenarios, but for what they can do, it's going to be important that those three guys step up and play well.
Yeah, I think I've convinced myself I am more worried about the offense today than I am the defense, despite playing Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. I don't know if that's the correct.
And A.J. Brown.
And
Devontae Smith.
And Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Yeah, they have a lot of studs on that
Lane
Philly
Johnson.
offense. 3 Pro Bowlers probably on that offensive line.
We're here to alleviate you of that fear of those guys. Make sure you fear everybody properly.
John, going back to Jason Wilde's sappy sign-off before, if there's one thing you've done this year, it's hold me accountable. I'll tell you what. You've done one thing well, it is that.
I'll tell you this. Like, as much as, because obviously we know the Eagles' defense is the number 1 overall defense in the league. They are. And they've earned it, right? Like, you watch them play throughout the year. I mean, they're playing really well, and they've earned that rank, that title, and hats off to them. But our defense has also been playing well. They've played well. They have a lot on tape. Obviously, they've struggled in certain areas, which to me is the run game, like against Detroit, right? I know that we've been really good against the run as of late. I think ranked 7th, like you said. But this is a different type of run game, right? Like, this Philly's run game is different, like, based on what they do. What they do well is kind of what we do well, right? Like, they do a lot of downhill inside zone duo scheme with that offensive line because they're huge, and they do that, and Saquon hides behind them, and he's very shifty. And then obviously once he goes forward, he's extremely powerful, right? He is a big back. And once you see that guy appear as a linebacker and he's flying at you, it's very difficult to get him to the ground. And he's a different type of guy to tackle. So they present the challenge up front and with Saquon that Green Bay, just besides week 1, hasn't really seen. So I'm nervous for both sides. I'll just put it that way. I'm nervous for both sides of the ball. I'll just say that.
You didn't make me feel any better. Thanks, Brian. Less than an hour away from kickoff.
This is a pregame show. It's not your therapy session, dude.
It's a little bit of both, actually, John. I don't know if you've talked to my doctor or not, but I think it counts as both. Actually, Green Bay Game Day presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. AFC wildcard round just about coming to an end. 6.5 minutes remain. Buffalo leads Denver 28-7, looking like it is going to be the same Final Four in the AFC as it was a year ago, following both the Ravens and Texans winning last night. Obviously, the Chiefs get the bye, and the Bills up 3 touchdowns at home under just about 6 minutes to play in that one. So next week we are looking at Bills, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs in the divisional round in the AFC. All 3 wildcard games in the NFC still have to be played. Packers and Eagles will kick off the NFC side of things in less than an hour. Commanders and Buccaneers go toe-to-toe tonight on NBC, and then it is Vikings at Rams in Arizona due to the wildfires at 7 o'clock tomorrow night on ESPN and ABC. So plenty of football still ahead, and the Packers and Eagles get things started in the NFC at 3:30 this afternoon. Coming up next, we take a look at our best bets, which are presented by the Island Resort and Casino. That's next on Green Bay Game Day.
More Green Bay Game Day coming up on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting another Scramble tournament. with $750 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellison, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a 2-man scramble at Pebble Beach, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through January 31st. Your winter chance to play Pebble Beach awaits. WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
This time of year can be really tough on a number of areas in your home. If you're struggling with any electrical issues, the superheroes at Current Electric are ready to help you. Chuck Smith is a Brookfield Central grad who started Current Electric over 40 years ago. His mission was to serve our community with integrity and quality. Whether it's as small as a switch repair or as large as rewiring your entire home, to a generator to keep your lights on, or even interest in solar energy, call on the superheroes from Current Electric. Go to callcurrent.com. That's callcurrent.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Is it time to buy an engagement ring?
Or a big anniversary diamond?
Kessler's has diamonds that come from diamond mines.
And we also have diamonds that come from plasma chambers.
When you see the size of the diamond you can afford when you look at our high-tech newborn created diamonds,
You're going to be happy, happy, happy.
and with approved credit, our financing plans make anything possible.
Our selection of engagement rings is beyond compare.
And our custom design department can modify any ring in any way you choose.
Anyone who says they can give you a better ring
Or a better diamond.
Or a better price
has never been to Kessler's.
And our miraculous no small print warranty says,
If you bought it at Kessler's, it's guaranteed.
It's just that simple.
And all maintenance is free forever.
No charge.
yes, it really is that miraculous.
You found a partner you want to share your life with.
When you're ready to celebrate,
we've got a diamond for that.
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
This message is sponsored by WisCaregiver.com. Now is the time to start a meaningful career as a caregiver. Make a real difference in people's lives. WisCaregiver.com gives you 2 great options for free. Train for the in-demand caregiver workforce as a CDCP, Certified Direct Care Professional, or become a CNA, Certified Nurse Aide. All training is free. Plus, you can earn a $500 bonus. Learn more. Visit WisCaregiver.com.
Confidence and strength begin with how you feel. At Quintessa Aesthetic Center, it is not about just looking good. It's about results that last and empower you. With 5 convenient locations in Delafield, Mequon, Brookfield, Middleton, and Sheboygan, their team of world-class plastic surgeons, skilled clinicians, and expert estheticians are here to help you take control. Whether it's advanced skincare, anti-aging treatments, body contouring, or muscle strengthening, Quintessa has everything you need to sharpen your image and boost your confidence. Take the first step towards a stronger, more confident you. Visit myquintessa.com today.
Wisconsin is still cattle country. And that's why Bunzel's chose to stay close to home to hand select the finest beef. Quality goes into everything they do, from Bunzel's expansive array of meats, homemade specialty sausages, and their award-winning beef jerky. It just isn't a proper holiday meal without Bunzel's top quality cuts on the dinner table. Tasting is believing. Visit Bunzel's at 90th and Burleigh or bunzels.com.
You're listening to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
You ready? I'm ready. Let's go. It's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, getting you ready for Packers-Eagles, the 7th seed at the 2 seed in the NFC. Whew. I'm a little nervous, not going to lie to you.
Are you nervous?
A little nervous.
I'm not nervous at all.
You told me on Friday you never got nervous.
Yeah, I'm not wired that way. I could care less. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and worrying about it doesn't help anything. So why get nervous in the first place?
Bryan Bulaga is with us. Blue, did you get pregame nerves, butterflies, anything when you were playing?
Yeah. I got nervous before every game. Makes you feel alive. Knows you're there. Makes you feel like you're present. Right. I always thought when the the time you stop getting nervous is when it's time to maybe consider getting out. Because
Steve, you hear that?
I think Bryan just took me to task there.
I just
I didn't play pro
to me-
football. It's a different thing.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. I always looked at it. I mean, now my situation, not everyone gets to play with Hall of Fame quarterbacks, but I found it very stressful week to week blocking, having that responsibility to block for a guy like Aaron. Like I took a lot of pride in it. So did all the guys that I played with. And it was, it made you always nervous how you would go into a game and perform. And not that you would be stressing out, pulling your hair out or anything like that, but it gave you that good nervous energy. So
when did that
went
stop, Bryan? Did after the game started, then you were good, or did it continue for a bit into the game?
Normally after the probably first series, we were good. First series, once I got through that, it's just like playing football, but because you never know what you're going to get in that first series, right? Like once you get into the game and you get going in that first series and you kind of figure out how the defense is going to play you, how that D lineman's going to play you, and what his strategy is for the game, and you feel it out. You have an idea of how the game's going to go, and kind of a lot of that goes away. But I think it's more of a mind game with yourself and how the buildup is going into it. But I just always found myself, probably, an hour, 2 hours before the game, just, think in my own head about it. And that's just how I always was.
I imagine that's how John Anderson was before the red light came on for Wipeout.
No, Wipeout was easy because you could just do it again and again and again, right? It was on tape. It's the other ones that could be kind of crazy. But Bryan's allowed. He actually has his performance has an outcome on the game. Me getting nervous doesn't do anything for anybody. That's why I don't understand. We've gone through this before. I don't get terribly nervous. I always think the team is it's going to be a disaster. That helps. And then I never move from where I watch because where I'm sitting doesn't matter.
Love it. All right, time now to take a look at some of our best bets, which are presented by the Island Resort and Casino. It is a premier resort destination, the largest north of Milwaukee, with everything you like to do in one awesome location. Visit islandresortandcasino.com and book your total experience today. Let's start with the name we've probably talked about more than any other today, and he is a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. That would, of course, be Saquon Barkley, who has had an amazing season. Over 2,000 rushing yards, has solidified himself in the top 10 best rushing seasons ever in NFL history. His rush and receiving total, which would be total yardage, 121.5 today for the Eagles running back Saquon Barkley, 121.5. Gabe Neitzel.
Whew. Oh, man. 121.5. That's a huge game. If the Packers want to win, it's got to be under. I mean, he can go off a little bit, and he can still have a good game. He can't get up to that total. I'm going to say under.
Okay,
I think the Packers are going to absolutely sell out and do everything they can to slow him down and dare Jalen Hurts to beat them. That's scary in and of itself.
Yes.
With A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but it's the only way to win, and I think they find a way to slow down Saquon.
Steve Scafidi, the number is 121.5 all-purpose for Saquon.
I'm going to say
Barkley.
over because Jalen Hurts is coming off, 4 weeks of essentially not playing, or 3 weeks, whatever it is. I think they're going to go to Saquon Barkley, and the trick is let him have the yards, hopefully not get him into the end zone. For the Packers, you can't let him score. You can't let Jalen Hurts beat you. Obviously, big, tough task there. But I'm gonna say the over because he's such a great running back.
John Anderson, 121.5.
If past performance is indicative of future performance, he's going to make that, and that's without catching a pass. So I think he's over, and he's one of those guys. Even if you bottle him up for 3 quarters and you've got 18 carries for 62 yards. And then, you lose focus in this game for 1 minute or 1 second, and then he's gone 65 yards, and now you're over. So I think he is over, and he is still a problem. The problem.
Yeah. I'm worried that I'm with John Anderson. He is the problem today. Bryan Bulaga, 121.5 for Saquon.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go over 2 because I think not just rushing, but in the screen game too. I think that's a way that they're going to try to work Jalen Hurts into the game is with the screen game, easy throws, easy completions, kind of get him settled in the game early, and Green Bay's going to be aggressive. We already heard Halfley kind of say their rush plan is going to be more aggressive, and the D linemen are flying upfield. There's no better way than to screen pass, right? Let those guys run upfield. Saquon turns around, little dump pass, and once you get that guy in open space, well, things can happen. So I'm going to take the over.
Josh Jacobs, a little bit lower number than Saquon on the all-purpose yards. It's 98.5. Essentially, is Josh Jacobs going to have 100 all-purpose yards? Gabe Neitzel.
I'm going to say yes, because I think that they're going to try to get him the ball in space as well, throwing it to him. With no Christian Watson in this game, it's going to be important that he is their primary playmaker offensively. They're not going to give up on him running the football. They're going to give him plenty of touches. There's a reason you pulled him out of the game early last week. It's so he'd be rested and fresh and ready to go for this game. I'm going to say he goes over that 98-yard total.
I'm with you. I think he definitely has a 100-yard game coming. 98.5, Steve.
Yeah, he's got to go over. I mean, we have to have that happen, right? He needs to have a big game, and I think he wants to show the world what Josh Jacobs is about.
He's played in one playoff game ever.
Yeah,
this is only
a big deal for him.
Yeah.
And like great players do occasionally in really big games, they just shine. And maybe this is the day he really, really shines. 3 touchdowns, 150.
Love it. 98.5. John Anderson.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly that he needs to do that, and if they're going to win, it has to be that, and I'll take the under. I think that would be ideal. I just don't know that that he can sled that much. Again, he might be effective enough over 25 carries and 97 yards to be good enough. I just don't think he reaches that number. I think it'd be critical. I think if he goes over that, then the Packers are in really, really, really good shape. But I just don't think he gets there. That's a tough defense, and we talk a lot about Jalen Hurts on the other side of the ball. Their defense is ready, and they're ready to go, and they can pound on people. So, they've got to come through. I don't know. That's a tall ask on the offensive line. I feel like that's way more on the offensive line than it is on Jacobs.
For whatever reason, I'm starting to get the hunch that John is going to pick against the Packers today. Not sure why I'm getting there and reaching there, but we'll find out when he makes his game pick a little bit later. Bryan Bulaga, Josh Jacobs, all-purpose yards is 98.5.
Yeah, I like him. I like him over it. I think I like him over it. I think he's got to be a focal point, and I could see it being like a 65, 70-yard rushing day with 40 to 50 receiving yards out of the backfield. I could see something like that. Because also in the same breath as I said about our defensive, our defensive line getting upfield, Philly's D-line is the same. So our screen game should be very good as well. Philly's an aggressive defense up front. They want to get sacks. They want to pressure the quarterback. So in turn, we should be able to do the same thing to them and counter them with that. So it will be interesting to see, but I think he goes over. Yeah.
All right, last one for you, fellas. Romeo Doubs, 44.5 receiving yards today. Gabe, I think you're going to take the over on that one.
I'm going to take the over, but it's just, it's like every other week. It's, pick a receiver to go over. Because...
Well, here's what the sports books are telling you, Gabe. They have Jaden Reed at 47.5, Romeo Doubs at 44.5, Dontavian Wicks at 40.5, and Tucker Kraft at 38.5. So even Vegas is going, I don't know which one it's going to be.
Here you go. Figure it out for yourselves. Yeah. And typically, this is the part on the show where we would all go, take Christian Watson because he can do it on one catch.
Yep.
Obviously, that's not a choice for them. I just think that Romeo Doubs is going to end up being that guy if somebody steps up in that pass-catching game. So I would if I was taking one of them to go over, it would indeed be Romeo.
Romeo Doubs, 44.5 for Romeo.
Give me the over.
Yep.
He'll have 62 yards.
Okay, there you go. An exact prediction from Steve Scafidi. Write it down. John Anderson, 44.5.
Yeah, it's got to be somebody in there, and but every one of those, and I get it. This is why the casinos are built in Vegas and they're big, and people go and they take their money because every one of those numbers sounds like low hanging fruit, doesn't it? Like, well, of course, let me take that one off the tree. That seems ripe and juicy. And so not all of those are right. And then they're going to put another wing on the Bellagio. named after me for the gambling losses. But I'll go with I'll go over. I think somebody has to, and I've kind of switched where I thought when he needed to force it and pump it to people, it'd be Reed, and he's more often than not when he does that, it ends up Dobbs. So I think that's going to go with him.
I love it. Bryan Bulaga.
I'm going to go over too. I'm going to go over. I just like these yards got to go to someone, right? Like I just, and I think Jordan Love's going to have to throw the football probably over 25 times, I think. So I'm going to go over.
I just hope this 87 looks like an 87 you played with, is all I'm going to say.
I got no comment there. The 87 that I played with.
I will. I'll make a comment. Doubtful.
Yeah. The 87 that I played with was
it's pretty special.
Yeah, he was very good. Very, very good. Not saying Dobbs isn't good. I'm not saying that, but Jordy was
one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Well, okay, so because we've been doing this with the jerseys in the background for John, who do you think through their first 3 seasons had more receiving yards, Romeo Dobbs or MVS?
I would guess, since you're asking the question, the answer is MVS.
Yeah, MVS by 26 yards.
Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. That's
money well spent back there, isn't it? Tell you what. And you want to know the worst part about this is we tried to get the kid one when he joined the Bills, but because they didn't have it in stock, it's too many letters to put on the back of the jersey through the NFL Make Your Own. Otherwise, we'd have a Bills one in there from his preseason work this year. So only the NFL shop prevented us from having a fourth.
Well, you know what, John? It's probably a good thing that the NFL shop prevented that, because that stint didn't last very long. Yeah, well said. All right, coming up next, we take a look at our Gruber Law Office's one call. Each of us make one prediction for the upcoming game between the Packers and the Eagles. We're about a half an hour away from kickoff. Butterflies are there for me. How you feeling, Packer Nation? You can hit us up on the Carbless Talk and text line, 800-990-3776. Less is more with Carbless, 800-990-3776. How you feeling? Where are you watching? What you eating? Let us know on the text line, 800-990-3776. We take a look at the Gruber Law Office's one call after this on Green Bay Game Day.
We're back with Green Bay Game Day after this on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Ready for a win? Well, it's your year. At Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee, you can win over $2,000 in free play every month all year long. Just play your favorite games and you might take the stage in the It's Your Year game show. 25 winners each Thursday. There's $300,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs this January. Yeah, we think it's your year. More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 years old to play.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Another MVP has joined the roster at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, Dr. Michael Nolte. Expertscape recently named him part of the top 1% of spine expertise in the world. Dr. Nolte has published over 50 peer-reviewed articles in leading scientific journals and authored more than 100 national presentations. They added this MVP specialist for orthopedic, neurosurgical, and spine care because at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your 4th quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. possible, and it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Help protect your team with slam dunk coverage. Saganiac Planning can coach you on ways to save money on medical and specialty plans through United Healthcare, one of the largest provider networks in Wisconsin. Call John Saganiac Jr., 262-783-6161, 262-783-6161. Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service. Insurance coverage provided by or through United Healthcare Insurance Company or its affiliates. Administrative services provided by United Healthcare Services, Inc. or its affiliates. Health plan coverage provided by or through United Healthcare Wisconsin, Inc. The Saganiac Planning Marquette Records. If not for Marcus Howard, Mark Anglevar would still be the Marquette leader with 9 3-point shots made in a game. He did it nearly 35 years ago, February 1990 against Butler, and would still be the game record if not for Howard. Marcus Howard, by the way, 11 in 2 games, 10 in another game, twice with 9. But don't forget, 3-point shots made in 1 game, Mark Anglevar for 35 years. Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service.
Experience, knowledge, results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
This is Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin at 620 WTMJ.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
Turn it up. Half an hour away from kickoff. It's Green Bay Game Day with you right here, ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Alex Strouf. That is Gabe Neitzel. That is the mayor, Steve Scafidi. That is Wipeout and ESPN legend, John Anderson. And, of course, the Super Bowl champion, former first-round pick of the Green Bay Packers, Bryan Bulaga, with us as well. Each and every week, we all try to make a prediction. Bryan Bulaga's right every week, I think. John Anderson's been right about 40% of the time. Gabe's probably right around that 40% mark. I think I've been right once all season. And I don't know if Steve Scafidi's played Gruber Law Office's one call yet this year.
No, because I'm usually doing the first hour.
You're usually in the beginning of the show, not the end of the show.
You like the big talent right away, out of the gate.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yep.
Take your big swings early.
Oh,
Hey, Gruber Law Offices has a reputation for winning. Their experienced and powerful team works tirelessly to help people and families seriously injured in accidents by providing the best care and service. There is never a fee. Until your case is won, Gruber Law Offices has been serving the people and state of Wisconsin for over 35 years. Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all. Steve and I were over at UW Milwaukee Panther Arena yesterday watching Doug Gottlieb versus Bart Lundy. And guess who was sitting courtside? None other than David Gruber himself.
Love the guy.
Yep, watching on the Panthers take down the Fighting Phoenix in a better game than I thought.
It was an entertaining game, man. Actually, the Phoenix were in it for a while.
Yeah.
Until the Panthers flexed a little bit.
Oh, well, there's your 13-game losing streak for Doug Gottlieb and company up at
I thought Gruber was a little shaggy.
He's growing the hair out here in the new year.
Going to the barber less.
It's a good look for him.
Yeah, what's that about?
I don't know. I can't say I asked him, Steve. I will next time I see him, though. I'll ask him. I say, hey, Scafidi wants to know about your hairdo right now. Anyway.
He's got a lot of haircut money. Right?
He's got enough if he needs one.
We would assume so, yeah. He could probably go to a pretty good barber. All right, Steve, you're the guest of honor. Gruber Law Office's one call. What do you got?
All right. I can't pick from my heart because I would pick the Packers. And I usually do because, I'm a homer. Season ticket holder, not as long as Anderson, but pretty long. I'm going to say Philadelphia 27, Green Bay 21.
Green Bay 21.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like that. We're going to change that in the next half an hour.
I don't like it either, but
change that in
I'm using my brain.
Next half an hour. One prediction for what will happen in the game. You walked in with quite a bold proclamation when you sat down here about an hour ago. What'd you say?
Keyshawn Nixon, a pick six.
Keyshawn Nixon, pick six today.
Yeah, I like it. He almost had one in game one.
They're going to need him. No Jair. No Jair today. Gabe Neitzel, Gruber Law Office's one call. What do you got today?
I am going to say A.J. Brown goes over 120 yards receiving.
What are we doing? Why can't we go pro Packers here? What are we doing?
I thought it was just a one call of what's going to happen in the game.
I thought he was asking us what we thought.
Yeah. I thought it was a one call.
Yeah, parameters.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is skewing way towards Alex a lot, this whole show.
John Anderson.
Make you feel better.
I thought,
John, can you give me something that's like Packers related, or are you also going to say Saquon Barkley has 14 touchdowns? Like, what are we doing?
Okay, so I had several on here. That's one of them. I had beers I was going to drink at 5.5. That's going to be an over.
As is mine, yep.
Yeah, I made a note that I always wanted to be an injury lawyer because I just wanted to have my name and my face on the side of a bus. I'm gonna go Barkley. He will hold form over 100, and he's going to score 3 times. He's going to kill us again because he has with the Giants, and he did it again with the Giants, and then he did it with the Eagles earlier this year. And I don't know that, like, he's been on the scouting report all those times, so they should know he's available and he's going to play. And they still haven't solved it, and I don't have any reason to believe that they're going to solve that today. Still doesn't mean they can't win, right? If he's the only guy, that's only 21 points if he does those. But I think he is going to be an absolute menace, as he has before. So, Hundy and 3 for Barkley.
All right. Yep, I'm having fun. Bryan Bulaga, what do you got?
Well...
Don't let Strouf affect whatever you were going to say, Bulaga.
Right, like people
whatever Jason Wilde said about you guys earlier was BS. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Bulaga's thinking he needs he needs to make a pity pick now.
Yeah,
just exactly. To make you feel better.
No, I'm not making a pity pick. There's no pity pick here. I think. I mean, I want to make 2, but I'm not going to make 2. I think that Jalen Hurts is actually going to play well today. I think he's going to have a little rust early, but I think he's actually going to play well today. I think he's going to throw for about 240 and a couple tutters, and I think he's going to end up playing well for the Eagles. I think that's going to be the surprise that everyone isn't really looking for today. That's going to be the wild card surprise in the game, and not everyone's expecting it.
Alex started this segment at like 5'11", and now he's 4'9". We've just beaten him down.
You could be the hero if the Packers could do it because we're all picking the other way.
This is ridiculous.
What do you want?
Jalen Hurts 2 interceptions. Packers turn him over twice today and give themselves a shot to win. Here, let me just read from the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube chat for you, shall I?
Okay.
All right, let's start with this. PackFan2323 says, "Hey, J.A., be ready for next week's broadcast, please."
I'll be ready. That'll be great.
David,
what was that implying that John's never ready? I would argue John's always ready.
John's always ready. David A.
But I get it.
David A. on the YouTube chat says, "Hey, John, you're killing my vibe. Go, Pack, go."
Okay.
So, I know I'm not feeling alone.
Okay,
these are not my burner accounts.
Barkley is going to be just like Barry Sanders that time he came out Lambeau. He's going to have minus one.
Oh, that was a great game. I was there. I love that game.
I'm sure you were there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, every home team so far in the playoffs has roasted.
That is correct. That is correct. All 3 games in the AFC have been very decisive. Yeah, who says
NFC is going to be the opposite.
But hold on, John. Think about it for a moment, because I actually don't doubt that it could be the opposite. The Commanders beating the Buccaneers and the Vikings beating the Rams, neither of those would be surprises to you, I don't think, would they?
None. Nope, not at all.
And, I mean, the other one might be a little bit of a surprise to you if the Packers beat the Eagles, given the way you've been talking today. But, I mean...
But given I know what the spread is, but did you see, if you believe the ESPN number crunchers, they have the Packers as a slight better chance to actually win the game.
Yeah, it's like 50.2, right? It's like 50.2% versus 49.8, so it's very, very close. But let's keep in mind, the number is 5 points the Eagles are favored by.
5.5.
It's moved to 5.5?
Moved to 5.5.
Well, I would say there is value in the Packers. Listen to their point differential and their 6 losses this year. 5 points in the opener to the Eagles, 2 points to the Vikings in September. The only double-digit loss they've taken all year was 10 points to the Lions in early November. The second time they played the Lions, they lost by 3, and the Vikings and Bears to end the season were both 2-point losses. So 5.5 seems a little big for a team that really hasn't lost by that much this year.
Playoffs are different, though. I mean, it's a whole different thing.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take one final break. When we come back, we are going to give our game picks, which it sounds like nobody's picking the Packers. Hopefully I'm wrong.
I already told you.
Yeah, I know you did. I
couldn't wait.
And I know John's picking against the Packers. I know Gabe's picking against the Packers. Will Bryan Bulaga be the savior?
The savior?
Man.
Jeez, a lot of pressure.
He already shook his head no. All right, I'm having no fun.
Big pressure on Blue.
I'm shaking my head at the savior. I mean, whether I think the Packers win or not, I don't know how that would make me.
Save us.
You're
Bulaga,
You're not
save
the
us.
Packers. You're not the Packers savior. You're Alex's savior. That's all we're looking for.
Right, there you go. Yes. I really thought the final hour of this program was going to be the Packers positivity hour. This has been the Packers pouty hour, is what it's been on Green Bay Game Day.
Nobody's pouted.
I'm pouting.
I was about to say, I think the rest of us are having a good time. We're having a good time.
Just because we all said that potentially someone from the Eagles plays well doesn't mean like we're saying that Green Bay is going to not do good things. Like, it doesn't mean that. It just means that we think that there's potential that guys from the Eagles
it's the way I inferred
play
it.
better than what we think. So, that's all
Now
we're
who's
saying.
negative? How come you got to attach a negative tone to everything we say, Alex?
Yeah.
That's a good point,
Alex.
John. Yeah,
Maybe
Alex.
you should look at yourself a little bit.
All right.
Maybe you should go ahead and take a little self-reflection.
I'm
during
going
this
to
break.
take a good hard look in the mirror.
Yeah, I was about to say, go to the restroom, take a look in the mirror,
I am.
and come back with a better attitude.
All right, I will. As we wrap up Green Bay Game Day after this, it's Packers-Eagles 20 minutes from kickoff. We wrap up right after this.
Stay right here. Green Bay Game Day will be right back on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Who's looking for a deal? Well, Cousin Subs has a better deal just for you. Cousin's new $10 meal deals are now available online only. Choose between a 7.5-inch ham and provolone, turkey breast, or veggie sub, a bag of chips or regular fry, a regular fountain beverage, and cookie at cousinsubs.com or on the mobile app for just $10. Now that's a better deal. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. Available at participating locations only. Offer subject to change without notice.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey. Riding with you every mile since 1977.
James Imaging Systems, local support, local accountability, local business technology representatives. Listen to Matheson Manufacturing President Al Leidinger.
She still checks in to see how things are going and if we need anything, so I really do appreciate that from a customer service standpoint.
Michael Quizon, IT Systems Administrator at Great Midwest Bank, discovered the benefits of working with the local team at James.
Our cost from supplies perspective went down. I mean, we're talking about thousands in a year. So we saved a lot of money by bringing James Imaging on.
James Imaging Systems client Luther Gray, Director of Ticket Operations and Group Sales with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra on dealing with James.
They are making sure you get the full value and life of every product that you have with them.
Local support, local accountability, local people. Get it all with James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
Life's busy, and Quick Trip gets it. Whether you're grabbing fresh coffee, a bakery treat, or a quick meal, Quick Trip is your go-to for quality and fast service. From clean restrooms to fresh groceries, easy meal options, and guaranteed fuel, we make your day easier. Plus, enjoy perks like free ATMs, free air for your tires, and sweet rewards with the Quick Rewards program. Everything you need in one stop, and always a friendly, see you next time, Quick Trip, where your day gets easier and better.
Dr. Aaron Holtebeck and his team at Holtebeck Eye Center make vision care a top priority with the latest technologies at their state-of-the-art Brookfield office. Dr. Holtebeck has been helping local patients with their eye care needs for over 20 years. And now, Holtebeck Eye Center is excited to add Dr. Nausheen Abbas to their team. Dr. Abbas is an ophthalmologist and cornea specialist that is now available to see patients. Located in Brookfield near the corner of Calhoun and Capitol, learn more about their services at holtebeck.com.
Football season. Best time of the year and my favorite time of the year. This is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman. On game days, my favorite teammate is a cold carbless in my hand. Premium cocktails in a can made right here in the great state of Wisconsin. Maybe it's when I'm at the tailgate ahead of kickoff or getting ready at home for the game. Carbless is there. 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and gluten-free. Carbless features classic cocktails like margarita, Paloma, and even Moscow Mule, and vodka cocktail flavors like cranberry, lemon, and peach. Find it on your next grocery trip. Carbless. Less is more.
Whether you are a local who wants to enjoy a night out or you're planning to visit our great city of Milwaukee, enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel. Hey, maybe you got friends coming in from out of town. St. Kate the Arts Hotel is ideally located in the heart of the theater district in downtown Milwaukee. With deluxe accommodations, culinary creativity, on-site art galleries, and nightly live music, you and your friends will enjoy every element of your stay at St. Kate. Learn more and book your stay at stkatearts.com. That's stkatearts.com.
Welcome back to Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Ellie tweets in during the break, at Alex_Strouf and the boys with a Z need to be more positive about this game. Come on, let's go Pack! It's Green Bay Game Day, presented by the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. I am Alex Strouf. That is Gabe Neitzel. Wipeout star from a decade ago. John Anderson is with us. Super Bowl champion Bryan Bulaga is here. The mayor, Steve Scafidi, is here.
Can I just say something? I mean, Wildy went out with all the praise, which I was having fun. I agree with him. But to be with this group is a lot of fun for me because I talk politics every day, and frankly, politics is BS now, and it's so much nonsense. This is actually like a sane way to spend an afternoon on a microphone.
That's true.
Honest to God.
For you, it is, yes.
Saturday here than talking about politics every day, Monday through Friday. Honest to God. I love it. Thanks for having me.
Which, by the way, 9 to 10 a.m., 620 WTMJ, the political power hour with the former mayor of Oak Creek, Steve Scafidi.
You're the only one that calls me that anymore.
The mayor?
Yeah, nobody calls me that anymore.
Why not?
That's a long time. It's 8 years ago.
I understand that, but I feel like that it's something you always are. It's like when you join a fraternity in college, right? Like you're always a part of that fraternity. You being a mayor, I view you as always being a mayor.
I ran that by my wife, Kathy, and she goes, yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah. She's not calling me mayor or anything.
Well, she didn't call you the mayor while you were the mayor, though.
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
In the right situation.
Yeah, right. When you're in a room with... I'm done with that.
I wonder if she's listening. Kathy, if you're listening, I love you. Really, really love you.
She's a freaking saint is what she is.
Oh, my God. Putting up with me? Are you kidding me? The stuff I've done.
Like when you have to use the word consenting adults, you're like, there's just nothing good that follows that.
Well, depends, I guess.
Yeah, that's not
at least
necessarily
on
true,
public
John.
radio, right? Yeah, it just depends. Not at this time, Switch the PM to an AM and maybe, but
But I am serious. This is a really cool thing for me. So thanks for letting me hang out.
Of course. Appreciate you jumping on with us all year long up in Green Bay at the Tundra Trio. And, of course, here as we preview Wildcard Round. It's Packers-Eagles kickoff in about 15 minutes. Could it be the final game of the season for the Green Bay Packers, or do they have a little bit more of that magic they found last Wildcard Round when they beat the Dallas Cowboys on the road?
So, Steve, I know there's something that you have been wanting to say about this week in particular for the Packers and how important it is for the coaching staff.
Yeah, I watched the game. I was at Lambeau last week, and for Hafley and Bisaccia and LaFleur, they were embarrassed, I thought, especially at the end of the game, and early on for that punt return, which I saw coming right at me, and I did not like it any part. I actually had to stop yelling in that game, and I'm not a yeller at games. I like to be. I'm in the inside. It's sort of cultured in there, a little louder, and let's be honest, drunker outside. But I had to pull back. I want to see some from these coaches. I'm not worried about the players. They're young. They'll make mistakes, but they also sometimes play at a high level. So Bisaccia, get the special teams figured out. Hopefully that was a learning point last week. Hafley, you made a horrible call, or someone made a horrible call in that last play. You've made improvement year to year. I'll hang that on your trophy wall. You did a nice job. But we are playing a really good team on the road. Need to see something big. And for Matt LaFleur, you did it last year in Dallas. I'm not saying you're going to do it today, but play well. Show us that we have something, if we lose, to hang our hat on next year, because this team is going to be even better next year.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, if the Packers are going to win today, all three of those coaches are going to have really good games.
Yeah.
They're outmatched in terms of the roster. The Eagles have a better roster. The Eagles have 6 All-Pros to the Packers 1. Like there's that's no secret. So in order to overcome that, you've got to have a really good game plan. You've got to execute it obviously with the players, but it starts with that coaching staff. They have to have a very good game plan, and they'd had to have had a very good week in order for the Packers to be able to win the game today.
Yeah, I think specifically LaFleur and Halfley, right? And obviously I'm with you on Bisaccia. He's been kind of a disappointment in his 2 years as a special teams coordinator in Green Bay. Last week, another flub up. At least they fixed the kicker position, and you have a guy you can rely on if it comes down to a field goal today that can make a pressure kick. All right, it's game pick time. Everybody gets to tell us how they think this one plays out. Steve, I know you mentioned it a bit earlier. Tell us again what you think happens today.
Yeah, Eagles 27, Packers 21, but a lot can turn on a big play. And I said pick 6, Keyshawn Nixon. I think that could be a game changer early. Jalen Hurts trying to figure it out after being off for so long. That's what I would go with.
Yeah, I think I want it to be close, even if they lose, right? 27-21, it's a game you're in. The theme we've saw, at least through the 3 AFC wildcard games, they haven't been close. The home team has run away with it in all 3 of those. Just hoping that is not the case if the Packers are to fall today. Gabe Neitzel, what do you got?
Yeah, I just ultimately think that Eagles roster is a little too talented for the Packers. They just have more guys that can make plays when they need to. The Packers, I think, are going to keep it close. I think they're going to hang in there, maybe have the ball late, hopefully with a chance to tie or take a lead. But ultimately, I think they fall 27-20 to the Eagles on the road today.
All right, 2 picks in, 2 picks for the Eagles, Survivor style. Here we go. John Anderson, what do you got?
I think I've been listening to these radio stations too long. I'm going to go Packers in 6.
That's perfect.
Pack in 6. Pack in 6.
So I keep I was trying to figure out how do you put this thing together. And I think the Packers have had great patches all seasons, these great swaths of play, and they have yet to stitch it together in some sort of quilt that we can put anywhere. And I just don't know that they can do that today. They've shown me for 17 weeks that they haven't been able to get it, and I don't know that remarkably they can come up with it today against that team. And I fear that it's especially after last week when you mentioned all 3 of those coaches got out coached, which may be the most disturbing part of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be Eagles, and I think it's going to be 31-20. I think. Ooh. So go ahead and please, as always, since I don't have the Twitter, send complaints to Alex. That's always the best way to get a hold of me. If I'm harshing people's buzz.
I'm the receiver of John Anderson hate. I like that.
Yep, and you can just hold on to those. There's no need to forward those. 31-20, go Philly.
Blue.
Yeah, so there's something about playoff football that gets me excited, and you just never know the way these games play out. They're exciting. They get you thinking of the what ifs, what could be. You never know how a team comes out. If the 2 seed comes out a little tight, the 7 seed lets it go. I know that's something that we've been talking about. Can the 2 play tight? The 2, in this case, Philly, is a very veteran football team. They got a lot of experience, a lot of really good players. Even the guys that didn't make the All-Pro team, like Lane Johnson didn't make the All-Pro team, but he, by all means, is he an All-Pro type player. But there's something about it that it's hard for me to just discount Green Bay in an underdog scenario. Like it's tough, right? Like there's something telling me to pick Philly. Like just Bryan, that's the smart pick. Just pick Philly. But there's something else. So like I'm 24-21 Green Bay. I think it's going to be a field goal Green Bay.
That's the way it has to play out for them to win, though, right, Bryan? It's got to be a lower scoring game. Like I don't see it being Packers win 34-31 in a shootout. They have to play really good defense and limit that offense in order to win.
If they I look at this, if they give up more than 21 to Philly, I'm not sure they're going to hang. Like that's just I don't think they can get into a shootout with Philly. Like I don't think that's the way they want to go about it. And honestly, I don't think Philly will allow them to. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't think they will. So, and to be honest, you don't want to get in that game with Philly from a pass rush standpoint. Like, you don't want to be having them rush Jordan Love like that. Like, that's just not what you want to do. So you're going to have to shorten the game, keep it low scoring, and like Strouf, like you said, you got a field goal kicker. You brought him in, you rely on him. That's what I'm thinking. So that's where I'm at with it.
I love it,
right. We'll see.
I do too, bro. I do too. I mean, it's a nerve-wracking one because season either ends today or you're part of the Final Four in the NFC. And I like their chances. See some of the texts and thoughts rolling in on the Cardinals Talk and text line 800-990-3776. Carson chimes in. I foresee our defense doing a good job holding Philly to 17, but the offense will sputter, only scoring a measly 10 points. Matt chimes in and says, feeling confident this is going to be a Mike McCarthy blood ball type game. To win, this defense has to be flying around Atari Bigby style. What a drop that is.
Shout out to the 2007 December NFC Player of the Month. Atari
Why
Bigby.
do you know that off the top of your head?
I just do.
Is that the only time he won an award in the NFL?
I would guess so.
I was a huge Atari Bigby fan. That's probably why.
Don chimes in, says, eating M&Ms. The Packers should too. Get motivated and mean. Go, Pack, go, says Don in Mayville. Petey Pablo chimes in, says, I predict Strouf will be drunk and roaming the streets if the Packers actually find a way to win. Not a bad prediction.
I mean, but honestly, I mean, you could be drunk and roaming the streets either way.
If they lose, he will be drunk and roaming the streets.
That's a gimme bet.
One of those things is probably
I will
regardless.
see you on the streets following a Packers win. I'm with Blue. I think it comes off the leg of Brandon McManus. I think it's a high-scoring game today. I'll take the Packers 27-24 with a walk-off field goal in a game that is back and forth all day long. Jordan Love, 3 touchdown passes. I don't think Jacobs gets into the end zone on the ground today. I think it's all Love. But we will see together. About 5 minutes away from kickoff. This has been a blast doing it all season long. I hope we've got a couple more in the bag. As for our executive producer all season long, Max Meyerson, this is his final show with us as he heads to law school out in Ohio after this. So appreciate Max Meyerson and all his hard work all year long. If the Packers win today, we're still doing the show. It's just not going to be produced by Max next week as he heads to the next chapter.
That's all we need for Max.
One call, that's all for Max Meyerson. Absolutely. A big thanks to John Anderson. A big thanks to Bryan Bulaga, Steve Scafidi, Jason Wilde, Rob Domofsky, and Gabe Neitzel for joining us throughout. A reminder, immediately following the final whistle of this one, you can catch Homer, Mark Tauscher, Gary Ellerson, Jason Wilde on Green Bay Game Night, taking your calls on the Carbless Talk and text line, reacting to this one, no matter the result, following the game right here on ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison, and 620 WTMJ. And don't forget, ESPN Milwaukee has you covered all day tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We are live and local, which includes Bryan Bulaga is going to jump on with me between 12 and 2 on a special radio edition of Mr. Irrelevant, reacting to Packers-Eagles tomorrow. Go, Pack, go. Cheer loud. Drink a lot of beer. Let's go, baby. It's playoff time. This has been Green Bay Game Day.
If you want to win at tailgating, you need to vote